Hi, thank you for listening to Story. This is our Patreon if you want to support us. You don't have to, but it'll be appreciated. Note we have a hub channel, so our Patreon has adult content. I'm thinking of making one for YouTube for safe for work content, but for now this is the only Patreon to support this channel. If you donate, you'll see some of the stories I'm personally working on and ideas I have. Thank you and enjoy. 1. End and beginning. Arg. You got to be kidding me. That's just so unfair. What a load of bullshit. I huffed, frustrated after yet again rewatching my favorite TV show Avatar: The Last Airbender. I really can't understand why they did her like that. I curse you, author. Curse, 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 I shrilled loudly to myself, my voice echoing through my empty and cold apartment. I was always able to understand exactly how Azula must have felt. This loneliness as a child that is almost suffocating. A father who doesn't care and somehow always appears to be out of reach, and on top of that is a manipulative and abusive prick. A mother who is indifferent towards you, who doesn't seem to know how to treat you but on the other hand loves your older brother dearly. What irony. Yeah, that sucks big time. That's one similarity that I share with Azula. Maybe that is why I was always drawn to her character. It's easy to let the sad and lonely girl look like the villainess, and it's even easier to judge her over trying to understand what has frozen the heart of a child like that and made her behave the way she does. Well, as many similarities as I may share with her, I of course am not that cool. I mean, she's dead-ass gorgeous and clever. How many times did she nearly catch the Avatar? I mean, of course never for long since he has the main character stat. But still, she's just an amazing character. And her fire-bending ability is way better than that of her brother Zuko. Man, I swear. I wish I could just hug her and tell her that everything will gonna be alright. She really deserved better. And Uru, I won't forgive you ever. You could have tried harder. I again yelled through my whole apartment while letting myself fall down on my bed. Shut up now, it's night time, you are not alone here, we can hear you, one more noise and I am coming over. Screamed my neighbor next door while punching furiously against his wall. Oops, my bad, haha, I started to giggle quietly so he wouldn't be able to notice. Man, that old baldy is always screaming his lungs out, he is way worse than me. Ha, never mind. I don't feel like arguing right now, I mumbled under my breath and stood up from my bed to make my way into the kitchen. I'm currently 19 years old. Living alone since I cut ties with my family, and I am really not someone who is afraid of confrontation or to voice my opinion, but right now, I'm hungry. Nothing's more important than food. Baldy, better you wait until tomorrow, I said in a singing tone while opening my fridge. Well, well, well. What do we have here? Yep. There's a whole lot of nothing. I really need to stop eating only delivery food, seriously. It's currently 11:34 p.m. That's not a problem though, since there is a small supermarket only 10 minutes away from me that is open 24 hours. They may not have a big variety, but for now this will do. I strolled through my modest hallway that I'd have to decorate and put on a yellow thick jacket since it's slowly getting cold, and pair of black boots that has been standing next to my entrance door. Yosh, off we go, I thought, while hearing my door slamming heavily into its lock behind me. I really need to eat regularly again. The last few months have been a mess for me and my health. Gotta take better care of me again. I can't even remember when I last time went to my dojo where I've been having karate lessons since I'm 5 years old. I sighed. Just thinking about my whole childhood, karate really has been the only good thing in it, especially my sensei Takashi. He's sure been hard on me, but he definitely is something like a father figure to me. Done, soon gotta visit the old man again. While being deep in thoughts about my childhood and mess of a life, I passed the street to arrive faster at the supermarket that is now already visibly a few meters ahead of me. Just as I almost crossed the streets, I heard an ear-splitting engine sound coming right from behind me. The moment I turned around, it was already too late. A dark blue-colored bus was racing so fast towards me that I didn't have time to react. It crushed me. Completely. How would I know? I'm standing right beside me. I mean my corpse. I literally can see my own crushed and deformed body with a few bones peeking out. Well, at least I'm not hungry anymore. See you in the afterlife, Baldy. I won't forget the open score we have. It's been now 10 minutes or something. And I'm literally still standing beside my dead body. Nothing is happening so far. So ghosts are real or what? That's just fantastic, you assholes. I never believed in God or heaven and hell anyways. So you don't want to be reincarnated? Whispered now a gentle voice next to me. I let out a startled shit and looked beside me. There was standing a rather handsome, tall man with raven black hair and dark red eyes. He was wearing a Hawaii shirt? Yeah, I'm out. I started to burst into a big laughter because this whole situation is just so ridiculous that I can't. I died. I see my dead body. And now there is some sort of god or grim reaper who is wearing a Hawaii shirt. The moment he realized why I'm laughing, he quickly snapped with his fingers. Now he is clothed in a long black robe. That's more like it, I said to him with a few laughter still escaping my lips. He stared me a little dumbfounded in my eyes and then cleared his throat. You sure are a rather strange young lady, aren't you sad at all about your death? It's not like I wanted to die. But it's also not like it that I have important things or people that are worth living for. You know, it was a lonely life. Definitely not the worst out there, but still pretty shitty, I answered him with a small but tired smile on my lips. I see how it is. He said in such a soft voice that it almost sounds comforting. Child, let me see your memories. Right after he spoke those words, he laid his left hand gently on my forehead. After a few seconds, he took down his hand from my forehead, placed on my shoulder, and said, Your most desired wish shall come true. We will see each other again when the time comes. Wait, what is happening now? 2. Realization. There are a few things I'm sure of right now. 1. I died too. I will most likely never be able to get the picture of my dead body out of my head. 3. I've been reincarnated. 4. And I obviously still have my memories of my past life. Not quite sure if this dude I met did it on purpose or just sucks at his job. Let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if it's the latter. Meanwhile, somewhere in the God's realm, that's bewitched. I just can't seem to remember, but I am sure that I forgot something of highest importance. Well, that reminds me, my mother used to say if you really forgot something then it wasn't important enough anyways. I guess it truly is like that. Never mind. Gotta finish work early today. Back to Leah. Currently, I'm still in a little dark but warm and cozy place. In the last few months it got rapidly tight in here. I was never good at math, but I can still add up. So I figured I'm inside a womb. Not quite sure in whose womb, but since this Hawaii shirt dude said something about being reincarnated and my most desired wish shall came true, I'm surely gonna live a life full of luxury. A good, loving family, rich as hell, and overall, just the complete opposite of my past life. Yeah, that's gonna be a good life, I thought, excited while kicking full of joy around me, since that's so far the only thing I'm able to do. Ouchich. Baby, calm down. Mama is here, but please don't break my ribs, gasped a soft female voice. Ups, yeah, my bad, I'm sorry. Sometimes I am able to hear what is going on outside of my mother's womb. Not always, but the older I get the better, and more often I am able to. That's most likely because of my ears being developed almost completely. To be frank, I'm thankful that I can't see shit in here. I really don't want to see myself or my new mother from the inside. I'm already traumatized enough from seeing my old body laying on the streets like a piece of junk. To my surprise, I suddenly felt the warm fluids around me leaking and I automatically turned around. Arg, that's uncomfortable as hell. I haven't studied medicine, but I still know what is going on now. My mother is going to give birth to me. I'm relieved that my eyes aren't able to open right now because I seriously wouldn't want to see any of it. The procedure took several hours. As I forced my way out of this way too small opening, I could feel my small and wobbly body feeling overwhelmed with exhausting. Right now, there is nothing I need more than sleep. But as soon as I was outside, I immediately let out loud crying noises. I'm not sure why, but at this moment it just felt like the right thing to do. I guess that's just a baby's nature. I could now feel a soft hand rubbing on my cheeks. "Hush, hush baby, everything's all right," said the same voice I heard in my mother's belly all the time, most likely my mother herself. "Lady Ursa, what shall she be named?" Her name shall be Azula. She shall represent the blue sky and the blue sea so that she someday may be able to live in freedom as I am unable to." The woman spoke in a thoughtful but also melancholic voice. "Wait, my name is Azula? And my mother's name is Ursa?" The absolute realization hit pretty damn quick. Since I don't believe in coincidences, I now knew where I've been reincarnated. You bastard of a god. So now I'm reliving my shitty old life again, just in a new environment and even harsher? That's as he just set up the difficulty of my life from hard to hell. My wish was to hug Azula, not be her. I mentally face-bombed. That's definitely not what I had in mind for my second life. 3. Target, Iroh. It's been now 4 months since I found myself being reincarnated in Avatar: The Last Airbender as Azula. In these months I haven't met my father Ozai nor my brother Zuko, who should be now by 2 years older than me. Hell, I haven't even seen my mother ever since she gave birth to me. The only people around me are servants who are at least pretty nice to me. Don't get me wrong, they still are all hella weird and are super carefully around me. But if I think about that, I guess if I would work for the tyrant Ozai, I would behave in the same way. Currently I'm working hard to speak my first few words. That sure isn't an easy task though, since I have no idea what to say, since a baby's first words are usually mom or dad, but obviously they are not here, so that won't work for me. Fortunately, they speak the same language here, so I can understand them just perfectly and don't need to learn it first. But I can't forget my goal. I need to draw attention to me as soon as possible. Azula in the story was already a prodigy, but more in terms of her firebending. For me to draw attention, especially that of Ozai, I need to make the servants talk about me so word get out what of an outstanding baby I am. To do that I need to be a cute, lovable baby that on top of that is intelligent. Why? I was pissed the first moment I realized where I've been reincarnated, but now I'm really invested. I need to get stronger so I am finally able to meet the first few characters as well as building connections with people higher up that are going to be useful in the future. I don't care about my parents liking me. The words are written. Can't change the fact that Azula is an unloved child, so I don't bother to fix their family relationships. It's not like I'm a therapist or something, or even know what a functional family should look like. But what I can make sure is that Azula's future looks different and she gets a happy ending. Well, more of that, I get a happy ending right now. Since I'm her now. But still, for the both of us, I need to change the future. Ugh, what to say though? The servants don't speak at each other using their names in front of me. But calling them servant, brew, I really don't want my first word to be that, as I was deep in thoughts trying to find a solution for my problem. I could hear the door opening. My wobbly body unfortunately still isn't able to straighten up, but therefore my hearing is excellent. "We are pleased to meet you, sir. Iroh. Can we help you with something?" said one of the servants in a respectful tone. Did she say Iroh? Damn, I'm a lucky baby today. I think I just found a perfect target. No. Not necessarily. You all are excused, let me have a moment with my niece. Ha! Why is his voice so cold? In the series, he was always the warm, funny old man. Understood, answered the servants in a choir, and I could make out that they are quickly leaving the room. I could hear steps coming towards my little baby bed. Just shortly in front of my bed, they halted. I wasn't able to get a glimpse of his face, but I could hear his breathing. After a few seconds of absolute silence, he said, "You take very much after your father, little Azula," in a more untypical monotone voice, completely different to how Iroh was presented in the series. Yes. I get that you all already don't like me, but at least be nice to a baby, you old fart, I thought while taking my plan into action. Alright, mission 1, get people's attention and make them fall in love. I started to giggle as loud and cute as I could. My wobbly baby body moving a little bit because of my foot trampling wildly forth and back. Now. Be ready to fall in love with my cuteness, you fool, hee. Iroh, I mumbled in a loud shrilling voice, holding my arms up as good as I can. Complete silence yet again. Who? Wasn't I cute enough? Of course I was. It was perfect. Did he die from my cuteness? Suddenly his head peeked, now visible to me in curiosity towards me. Right above of my head he stopped. I could see Iroh now clearly. Just way younger. He had a stern and serious expression on his face. His hair is still black, with only a few gray strands standing out. No long beard, but still having his large and thick eyebrows over his gold-colored hooded eyes. Not quite sure what to do because of his stern and serious expressions, there was only one solution. I started to laugh as loud and ear-shrilling as I could. Muttering his name again, many times, and looking deep into his eyes. With my last restricted strength, I'm now throwing my small arms into the air yet again while making gripping movements with my tiny fingers. Just as I thought it was for nothing since his expression hasn't changed one bit, he held out his left index finger to me. Yees susis. I immediately gripped at it and kept hold of it as tightly as I could. Because of my triumphing, my giggling was now even louder and piercing through the whole room and most likely the floors behind it. His stern expression now turned into a warm and gentle smile. His golden eyes started to sparkle as he said, "You may not have everything of your father." That's right, sir, and now feel the honor of being my first worshipper, hee. 4. Siblings. After the first meeting of me and Iroh, everything went fairly smoothly. It's been now 10 months since I've been reincarnated here, and I slowly but surely adapted to my new me. Well, maybe more like still being my old me, just in an infant body. But that's just how it is now. My plan was successful. Like a fool in love, the, as we know, wise Uncle Iroh has been visiting me on a regular basis. At least 2 times a week, he comes to find me. Why I call him a fool? Because he sure isn't the wise old man we know in the series. He's a bit more like nuts. Definitely not on Ozai's level of cray-cray. But let's just say, a few weeks ago, Iroh brought me the head of a dolphin piranha as a gift, talking about fine new room decoration. I tell you, it is brutal out here. I sighed. Every normal baby or child would have started crying bitterly at this disturbing view. I, on the other hand, thanked him with a big hug, hiding my disgusted lip behind admiring how strong he is. "Lady Azula, you have a visitor," said my maid in a way more relaxed manner than only a few months ago. A lot changed. The servants around me aren't as uncomfortable as they were in the beginning. I already can speak pretty well despite my young age, and even walking a few steps on my own isn't a big hassle for me. "Sister!" The now 3-year-old boy screamed excited, running towards me, nearly crushing me, as he jumped in my direction. "Carefully, Prince Zuko, Azula is still fragile and you can hurt her easily." "Yes, you heard right. Prince Zuko. This little monster came looking for me only a few weeks after Iroh and has been literally sticking to my side like an old chewing gum does under a shoe. He wasn't necessarily the kind of attention I wanted to attract, but it isn't so bad either. He's a kid. And a cute one at that, even though he has no manners or tact whatsoever. I never had a good relationship with my prior family. And even after being reborn and realizing where I am, I didn't care about this one either. But right now, I really feel like protecting the innocence of this cute little boy whose future truly isn't much easier than mine. It's sad to know that the environment of this broken family they grew up in drove a wedge between those two. A little girl who was blinded by jealousy of her big brother for getting the love of their mother, and a little boy who was ridiculed by his father because his younger sister was stronger than him. Under these circumstances, I bet most siblings would come to hate each other. I thought deeply and hurt, apparently a little too obvious since Zuko flicked me lightly on my forehead. "What are you thinking about, sister?" Mom said if people think too much, they get wrinkles and age quicker. He said with a pure and endearing expression on his face. The old Azula most likely would have been deeply hurt about this comment, and her older brother, who has no idea about her pain. I started to smile genuine, while patting his head. "Nothing, I was just thinking, Zuko. You are such an old grandma sometimes, sister. I'm older than you. So stop treating me like I'm younger," he said while pouting and crossing his arms in defense stance. What a brat, I thought, while grinning at Zuko, who is still pouting, which makes his face slowly turn red, because he ever is holding his breath. "Of course you're my older and super cool brother," I cringed a bit saying these words out loud in a cute tone. "More than you can imagine. For real. But I don't feel like dealing with a defiant rascal. Want a boy to stop nagging? Just flatter them. Age doesn't matter. Works every time. Believe me." He stopped pouting all at once and gave me a proud look. Staying serious at a little Zuko who is already full of his false pride is truly hard. "I know. You are right. I am a super cool older brother. Of course you are, little brat." 5. Fire Lord Ozai. "Princess Azula, are you ready, my lady?" "Yes, let's set off," I answered the head maid, as I walked in front of her to the direction of the banquet hall. Today is my 6th birthday, and I'm officially being introduced to publicity as Princess Azula. It's gonna be the first time seeing my father, Fire Lord Ozai, as well. My plans to draw attention at me, in fact, worked since my mother came unexpectedly looking for me. She is still a little indifferent towards me, but we spent a lot of time together with Zuko in the Empress Rose Garden. I don't mind her being like that, so I mostly had lots of fun with Zuko. The first chapter of this ill-fated relationship should by now be changed. I've been preparing for today now for weeks. I'm looking elegant as ever. Wearing a red long dress that covers my neck and is falling effortless down my waist. Black details in the seam of my dress that are matching my black and now already waist-long thick hair that I'm today wearing openly with only light curls and a red little crown on top of my head. Azula was already beautiful as a child, I thought, proud, and now somehow a little anxious. Will everything go smoothly? As we arrived at the big red-colored main door of the banquet hall, I already saw Zuko standing right in front of it waiting for me. Zuko is now 8 years old. Our relationship is unexpected really good. The more time I spent with him, the more I get the feeling of wanting to protect him. But therefore, I need to get stronger. Right now the boy in front of me looks calm and happy, almost careless. No big scar covering the left side of his face or a painful look in his eyes. His clothes are matching to mine. Completely clothed in dark red with black details on the seam. His black hair is tied up in a high bun and put inside the same red crown as mine. "Don't be nervous, Grandma, I got you," Zuko said teasingly while taking my left hand. Calling me Grandma has somehow become a habit of his since he says I always act like one. "I'm not nervous, brat," I answered with a grin while I pinched him rather hard on his arm. Just as he wanted to curse at me, the big red door of the banquet hall opened widely. Entrees of Prince Zuko and Princess Azula, announced the doorman, his voice echoing through the enormous and beautiful decorated room. Everything fell silent. While we walked towards the throne, where Ozai and Ursa are seated and Uncle Iroh standing behind, I could feel a dozen pair of eyes staring so intense at me that it feels like they are staring right at my soul. Shit, why do I feel so suffocated? I shouldn't have worn a dress that goes around my neck. Just as I wanted to loosen the fabric around my neck, Zuko lightly pressed with his left arm against my waist, signaling me that everything's all right. Thanks, brat, I thought with my back regained confidence and a clear mind. As we were right in front of my so-called family, we halted and at the same time kneeled respectfully down in front of Ozai. You both may stand up, he said with a dominant tone in his voice. As we now looked right at each other, Ozai stood up from his throne and declared, You all know my son, Prince Zuko. Now it is the time to introduce you to my daughter, Princess Azula. Today we gathered her to celebrate this child's 6th birthday. May the celebration begin. Introduce you to my daughter Azula, my ass. Sir, it's the first time you see me. Who are you to introduce me anyways, I thought while having goosebumps because of his nonsense. Soon after he finished his short speech, the room was filled with whispers. Just as Ozai held up his right hand, loud piano and violin music drowned out all those noises. Happy birthday, little one, said Uncle Iroh to me as he sprinted towards me. I let out a quiet chuckle before I started to make my way to Ozai, who was staring at us from a few meters away rather uninterested. Zuko tried to hold on to me and stop me, but I brushed him off. Hello, father. I'm happy to meet you and I'm thankful for the celebration that you hold for me, I said in an emotionless but still polite manner while bowing my head down a little bit. I could feel his surprised and cold stare at me as he answered, I already heard a lot of things about you, daughter. I hope only pleasant things, I said while looking up into his yet again surprised eyes and bowing slightly to signal him that I will talk to my mother Ursa now. Hello, mother, I said while smiling at her. I can't help but don't hate her no more. It is not that I love her. It's more that I pity her. Also, I can't forget what she said the day I was born, her name shall be Azula. She shall represent the blue sky and the blue sea so that she someday may be able to live in freedom as I am unable to. Back then, in my old life, I always thought Azula was named Azula because her fire-bending flame is blue and Azula comes from azul, which means blue in Spanish and Portuguese. It makes sense that the meaning was set to be a different one, since no one yet was able to know that I'm going to bend blue fire in the future. Happy birthday! You look lovely today, my child, she answered in a gentle tone with a motherly gaze while stroking my cheek. Since we haven't seen that much in the series about Azula as a child or her relationship with her mother overall, I'm not sure how much I changed. I still can feel that her love for Zuko goes deeper than for me, but I can't help but think that she grew a little attached to me. It's really a shame that I know I can't do something against Ozai exiling her from the Fire Nation, since I don't know when exactly it will happen. Moreover, is she protecting Zuko with being banished in his stead? Arg, shit is getting so complicated, I thought while screaming on the inside and scratching my head. That's unladylike, sister, Zuko said from behind me with a few laughters escaping his mouth. Shut it, I said quietly while looking at the mass of people in front of me who are eagerly waiting for a chance to talk to me. That's gonna be one long and annoying night, huh? 6. Firebending. I woke up early from loud noises and tumult coming from the hallway. Yesterday was exhausting and a really long night. I talked with a lot of people who somehow all knew pretty much about me. Talking about child prodigy and how I was able to teach myself to talk, read, and write. I know exactly who told everyone, Iroh. This May is exactly what I wanted, but my introverted ass still can't help but hate too much human interaction. But at least it seems like this stupid Hawaii shirt god had at least one thing right, life full of luxury. I received so many presents yesterday, from expensive jewelry to even simple fire-bending scrolls. Getting stronger while looking absolutely gorgeous? Check. That reminds me, in the original story Azula started to firebend when she was 9 years old. She was immediately announced as a prodigy. I'm now 6 and already am 1 in terms of my intelligence. So might as well push forward and start training on my own. I already knew because of the series, but as I opened one of the firebending scrolls I already had a knack on what and how to do. Well, at least in point of the movements, I guess I can be thankful that I did karate in my past life. Many movements look pretty clear and simple to me. But I unfortunately still have no idea about the actual thing, the fire. Now I'm invested. Despite waking up just a few minutes ago, I chose to stand up and still in my nightgown, mimic the movements of the scroll laying in front of me. Okay, let's do this. First just leading my left arm behind my back, positioning it next to my right arm, while doing so, changing the posture of both my opened hands to a fist. Now bringing my feet together. Moving relaxed, but still with steady demeanor. Breathing steadily and concentrated, now bringing my right foot forth, just as I would make a step, synchron to that, leading my left arm from behind my back calmly forwards my right foot and open my fist swiftly. Just as I thought I did a mistake or just wasn't ready to firebend, a huge red flame with a few blue features in the middle came violently streaming out of my left hand. It didn't hurt. To be precise, it felt powerful and somehow comforting. The flames, almost dancing to the tact of my heartbeat, felt just mesmerizing. As I started completely hypnotized at the flames, I didn't notice that the room was filled with people screaming in pure terror and panic. I only came back to my senses when I could feel someone holding me from behind while pulling me rather aggressive to the ground. The flames immediately withdrew. Azula, what the hell were you thinking? I could hear Zuko screaming, who is still having me in his arms. His voice shaking in fear as well as confusement at what he just witnessed. I don't know. I wasn't. I just mimicked the movements of the scroll, I stuttered while pointing at the firebending scroll still laying on my bed. Fortunately, nothing in my room captured fire other than the curtains on my windows that the maids were able to put out quickly. Let's leave the room first. And you all clean and air this room, but leave right after, it's not healthy to stay in here for too long. He said in a for me unexpected grown-up and calm manner. Until now, I always only saw Zuko as a child who still has no idea of what kind of environment we live in. Or what is going on around him. He always looked carefree and light-hearted to me. I guess I was wrong. As we made our way through the wide hallway, he didn't say a word. Despite me being older in terms of mental age, I ironically couldn't bring myself to say something either. I felt like a child with guilty conscience who knew was going to be lectured. Suddenly he stood still. Just looking at the ground. Not quite sure what to say, I just stared at him. A few seconds or even minutes passed until he finally looked up to me. How did you do that? Behind his serious face I could see frustration in his eyes. I am not sure. I really just copied the movements and I didn't thought that something would happen. I mumbled, clearly uncomfortable at the situation. Seeing him like this truly hurts me. I never thought how he would feel if I come out to be a firebending prodigy as well. In contrast to Azula, Zuko struggled a lot as a child. The pressure of his father didn't help. He had to fight hard for improvements. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Please don't be mad. I said with guilt in my eyes. Not guilt, because I think what I did was wrong, but guilt because I know exactly what is going on in his head right now. Just as I wanted to speak again, Uncle Iroh came running towards us. My niece is a fire-bending prodigy, he screamed in a singing voice with tears of joy falling out at the side of his eyes. Stop it, I said, giving him a furious glance. He first looked dumbfounded at my sassy answer, that is, until he gasped the situation. Zuko, look, I was just Forget it. Never mind. I'm tired. We talk later, he said in such a cold and distant tone while walking away that it ached deep in my heart. So that's it? It was nice to have a sense of family only once. Even if it was for a short time. What a joke. Should have stayed minding my own fucking business. I could feel tears gathering in my eyes, but I swallowed them down. So most likely now going back to the original storyline, or what? 7. Agni Kai. My lady! Where are you heading to? Way in it, I was able to hear the headmaid shouting at me as I kept running towards the throne room as fast as I could. Shit, you moron! How could you forget that this is maybe happening today? I'm so stupid. I cursed myself out. Am now 11 years old. Since my little argument with Zuko 5 years ago, my life drastically changed. The relationship between Zuko and I faded. We only talked when necessarily and most of the time ignored each other. The only thing that was different to the original plot was that I didn't harass him like the real Azula did. I may am mad at him, but am not scum. So I would never bully him or someone else. Naturally, the relationship between Ursa and I started to fade as well, as she immediately took Zuko's side. I wasn't bothered by that, since it was pretty much predictable. Aside from that, Ursa has already been banished 2 years ago. Just like predetermined, she went in Zuko's stead to protect him. Between Iroh and I, nothing changed. Well, to before that is. If we look at the original plot, everything did change. He reminds me a little bit of my old karate sensei, and I'm glad to have him. After mine and Zuko's fight, he kinda split himself up. Being there for the both of us. Still not completely transformed into the old warm man from the series, but we surely getting there since his hair by now already turned grey and he grew a long beard. Ozai, or my so-called father, was of course back then more than delighted to hear that I was such a prodigy in firebending. He suddenly wanted to have meals with me, sent me hella lot presents, and suddenly had fatherly feelings, or how you call this crap. Honestly, I now fully understand how Azula came to be the way she were. This man has no humanity left inside him. He is manipulative and overall just the worst narcissist I've ever met. But despite that I hate him with all my heart, I still spent most of my time with him. Acting like the perfect little puppet. Why? To distract him from Zuko the best I could. But since I've just heard whispers from the servants that something is going on in the throne room right now, I instantly knew that everything went down the vein. I'm here. Reincarnated with all information that I need, and I still can't change shit. Pathetic went through my head as I finally arrived at the throne room. Princess Azula, we can't let you in here, please return to your chambers, said one of the 2 guards in front of the door. Move. Or I make you. I growled at them. Both looking at me stunned, since this has been the first time I ever talked like that in the whole time I've been living here as Azula. I was always nothing but the perfect and talented little princess, which has good manners. It's enough now. Because if I can't even change what is supposed to happen today, then what can I even change? What makes me being here any different? We are really sorry, Princess. But unfortunately, that was your last chance, I said with a murderous aura around me as I swiftly moved towards them, granting them no chance to even react. I touched both of the guards without any hesitation on their shoulders, giving them a heavy but not deadly electroshock, which made them fall instantly and quietly down to the ground. As I opened the door, I was both shaken to the core and relived praying thanks to the useless Hawaii shirt god. In front of me, I saw Zuko sitting on the floor with Ozai standing a few meters across from him. Zuko was in fact looking horrified, but he gladly had not yet a wound on his face. You'll also like. What is going on here, father? I asked, trying to mask my enragement with an unbothered facial expression the best I could. You see. This weak brother of yours is nothing but a weak coward who is afraid of fighting an Agni Kai against me. But... Oh, what would you have to say, Azula? Oh. And now that I remember, didn't I told the guards to let an O1 in? No. I now see how it is. At the end, you're just like your mother. Trying to protect this pathetic failure of a man. I could feel my blood boiling. The anger inside me grew and grew, making my head hurt, my eyes dizzy and my throat sting, as it is so unbelievable hard to control myself any longer and don't lose my facade. As my facial expression started to crumble and turned into pure hatred when I glared at Ozai, Uncle Iroh, whom I didn't notice earlier, spoke, Azula. It is time to go. You can go fuck yourself. As if I am going to leave now, I thought while looking down to Zuko, who is still completely terrified sitting on the ground. His eyes with such a pained look that I almost feel like I can't breathe. The hell are you doing to your own child? No, she doesn't need to leave. It's a family occasion after all. Isn't it? The psychopath mouthed. Sure. Family occasion. Some cook together, some play Monopoly, and some simply try to kill each other. I will fight the Agni Kai in Zuko's stead, I said, staring right at Ozai. Azula, no! You can't, yelled Iroh hastily. Since I don't want to break my eye contact with Ozai, I can't exactly tell, but I definitely can feel Zuko staring at me. Aren't we supposed to be a family? So how come you all let me look like I'm the villain? Am I the villain? No, I don't think I'm the villain. And as much as I would love to fight against you, my little prodigy, it isn't allowed, since this isn't about you. Besides, I wouldn't want to have a scratch on your pretty face. Oh dear Hawaii, sure God, I really want to gag right now. Before I was able to answer, he opened this trash mouth of his yet again. Since the person who this is about seems to have lost his tongue, I think the issue with the Agni Kai is off the table, since I can't make you fight Zuko. But maybe I just have to wake up your fighting instincts first. After he ended his speech and took in his lighting bending form, pointing right at Zuko's face, I hurried in front of Zuko, knowing exactly what was going to happen. In a blink of seconds, before even anyone realized that I ran right between them, the bright and hissing lighting struck right towards me. I could hear Iroh screaming and Zuko gasping as they realized what was going on. I never tried this. Obviously. Since I wouldn't want someone to shot me with freaking lighting. So I'm not sure if I can succeed. I took a deep breath, focusing my mind and body. In these few seconds, nothing mattered. The only thing that is important is energy. I took in the perfect posture and I feel it flowing right through me, leaving a warm tickling feeling on my skin as the lighting struck in my left index finger and left it through the right. I did it! I deflected MF lighting. Call me Zeus. I may have a big party on the inside of my head right now, but on the outside, God damn, it's a funeral. Ozai looks seething with rage, but still somehow impressed. Poor Iroh looks like he has a heart attack any minute, and Zuko, I don't know. He looks conflicted. Meanwhile, somewhere in the God's realm, boss, are you okay? You are behaving strange today? No. I'm good. I just have a bad ear itching today. It's fairly annoying sometimes, it even makes beeping noises. What you say? Zuko ain't Zuko without his scar? Well, now he is, love. 3 traitors. On a scale from 0 to 10, I'm definitely a 100. Clear thing and not negotiable. I mean, did you look at me? I'm stupid. Hella stupid. Even Watch Mojo would sell their soul to have a picture of me. I was talking all big, flattering myself with I'm a child prodigy, and where is this so-called child prodigy now heading to? Exactly, the goddamn Northern Water Tribe. I have been banished until I find the avatar. Sounds strangely familiar, huh? Why? Of course for attacking the Fire Lord. I'm shitting my pants. That's not even funny no more. I sighed heavily. This life or the old. I still can't seem to mind my own business and always make dumb decisions. Even reincarnation can't bless my poor soul. But honestly, thinking back about that day, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was not blinded by my anger. Of course I was angry, but at the same time I knew there would be waiting consequences, but I didn't care. I'm now living my life as Azula for over 11 years. I still know I'm reincarnated. But the more days pass, the more my old life as Leah feels only like a vivid dream. I'm getting attached to things and people. I do have my own life here. Zuko is my brother. I couldn't let him down, and if I would be in this situation again, I would do it all over again. Looking away from injustice just has never been my style. Just as I was still on deck from our ship, enjoying the cold and refreshing sea breeze with my eyes fixed on the sun in front of me slowly disappearing, Iroh called out to me. Azula, come inside. I've brewed tea. It's getting colder, you need to watch out for your health. Yes, I'm coming, Uncle. I answered Iroh with a faint smile while walking inside the ship cabinet. How come you both can be so relaxed? We need to find the avatar. I don't get you two. Drinking tea like we are on a vacation or something. Zuzu. Don't you forget that we are only here because of you, would you? Also, being far away from our father is for me even better than vacation. Idiot. I glared at my brother. Just 3 traitors banned and now being on the hunt for the long-lost avatar. At this point, I'm not even sure if and how much I should meddle in the progress of this story. To be honest, I feel more like dipping and spending my life on an abandoned nice little Caribbean island, but I'm still damn curious about the main characters. So I might as well just tag along and watch the show. Don't make me responsible. I never asked you for help. It was your decision to interfere. What was that? I clenched my teeth, looking at Zuko. You. Both of you. Stop it. It's enough. Uncle Iroh interposed with a dark and warning stare. Ungrateful. I huffed quietly under my breath, turned around and made my way to my chamber. I never mistreated him nor showed off how much better I am in firebending than him like the real Azula, so why can't this prick be thankful for once? I thought while letting myself fall frustrated on my modern and small wooden bed. Our relationship is still pretty bad. I end these months where we have been traveling so far, he never once thanked me. It's not like I want him to crawl down on my feet and kiss them or something, but I still would have appreciated a little thank you. I really was hoping that I could prevent Zuko from his "I need my pride back and make father proud" breakdown. Obviously, I couldn't. I guess he needs to learn his lesson through the hard tour. Whatever. I guess I will sit here for the next few months and just enjoy the show. As I just closed my tired eyes, there was a heavy knock on my door. Azula. No chance. I'm sleeping. Go away. It's Zuko's voice. If I just make no sound, he should leave. I really don't feel like arguing right now. I know you're awake. Stop pretending that I am coming in now, he said, and right after opened my door abruptly. I grunted in annoyance and jumped of my bed. The hell you want, Zuko? Uncle Iroh told us not to fight, so buzz off while I'm being nice. I trashed at him without any filter. Zuko wasn't amazed at all by that and just kept staring at me. Irritating. Do you have something to say or nah? I thought and touched, displeased with my index finger my forehead. Zuko, if you have something to say, spill it out for God's sake, but don't stare at me like some creep. Why? He rumbled quietly. Why what? I rumbled back at him, rolling my eyes. Why did you help me back then? He stuttered. I could tell asking this was hard for him. Most likely because it hurts his false pride. But I couldn't care less. Look. If that's your way of finally saying thank you, then I don't need it. And if you really mean it, then you're just stupid. Why I helped you? Because you're my brother. You obviously couldn't help yourself, and I couldn't just stand there and watch. Zuko only opened his eyes wide and shook. His expressions are mixed. I can tell that he is touched, but also pretty pissed off about the "you obviously couldn't help yourself" part. A few moments of dead silence before I chose to simply end this conversation, since it wouldn't lead to anything anyways. If that's all, leave. Your birthday is soon. Do you have any wishes? He said while turning around and his left hand already on the door handle. That surely caught me off guard, but I would never show it. No. Nothing in particular, I answered him sternly. Okay. Good night, he said evenly stern and left my room. Weirdo, the fuck was that now? 9. Northern Water Tribe. The next morning I woke up to loud noises and the ship shaking in uproar. Annoying. What's going on now? I thought and sleepily rubbed my eyes. After I put over my sleeping clothes a simple red robe, I made my way to the dock of our ship. Zuko and Uncle Iroh were standing in the middle of it, just watching the occurring like I did. You. Morning, what's going on here? I asked them with a small yawn. Seems like we arrived at the Northern Water Tribe. Uncle Iroh answered while pointing his fingers to a huge landscape full of snow and ice that was right in front of us. I see. I'm sleeping for another few hours, wish y'all much fun. I said and patted Iroh on his shoulder. Just as I wanted to leave, someone suddenly gripped my wrist tightly. What the hell? I said, irritated, and turned around. What is it now, Zuzu? I said, glaring at him. Of course it was the brat. We all are in this together, so stop acting selfish. Get ready, in 20 minutes we will depart, he said while loosening his grip on my wrist a bit. What is it with you? Since when do I dash? All at once I was interrupted by a blinding bright light that shone in front of us, making my tired eyes close by themselves. Everyone started to whisper with shocked expressions in their faces, and now the uproar was even worse than before. So it's today, huh? Interesting. The almighty Zuko is gonna get toyed with today by the Avatar. I had a satisfied grin on my face and shook Zuko's hand off my wrist. I will get ready as fast as I can. Wait in it for me, I yelled at them as I ran quickly back to my chamber. It's not like I like seeing Zuko in pain or something. Since the Avatar won't hurt him anyways. But it's just gonna be exciting. Today the story will start and I'm all ready for a first-class ticket of watching Avatar. One last glance at my reflection in the mirror and I was all ready to go. I put on the regular Fire Nation's army clothes. As I arrived back on deck, there were nearly no people left. Only a handful of the crew was left, excluding the soldiers and of course my uncle and brother. Making so much terror for me wanting to go back to sleep, but now forgetting about me? I let out an annoyed groan. All right, whatever, let's just go. I thought and left the ship. The horror I saw and heard after arriving at the village is something I most likely will never forget. Only now it crashed to me that the series I always loved to watch was for children, but this is real life now. I saw soldiers of my own nation, kicking and grabbing little children who were screaming in pain. They were only by a few years younger than me. Setting their food supplies and houses on fire. Having no respect or whatsoever. I could feel my heart throbbing in agony. No wonder the Fire Nation is hated and need to be stopped at all costs. I know I didn't want it to meddle, but this. I can't. How can I just stand back and watch? Hey! What do you all think you're doing? I screamed as loud as I could while shooting a fire beam coming out of my fist, high into the sky, to catch the attention of my soldiers. You'll also like. All eyes in this thoroughly small village were now fixed on me. People from the Fire Nation and those of the Water Tribe were all looking at me, but with the same exact facial expression, full of dread. After a few seconds of silence, my people started to kneel on the snowing ground down to me. Princess Azula. We are only obeying orders, said the soldier hesitantly, who's kneeling the nearest to me. Orders? From whom? I didn't know the Fire Nation would behave like some gang of hooligans. So do you mean to say that someone ordered you to mistreat other human beings like they are cattle? I screamed in a threatening and dominating tone with a dark and dangerous aura around me. The soldier who answered me only gulped at my response and bowed down even deeper, his head now hiding deep in the snow. That's what I thought, I said while I walked around my soldiers, glaring at every single one. You are all dismissed. Go back to the ship and reflect on your actions, I now announced to them. But Princess, how? How what? I glared at the other soldier who raised his voice at me. I thought you're nothing but a lapdog that obeys orders? So here is mine, leave before I make you. Or do you dare to ignore my order? I said to the soldier with my index finger touching his chin, straightening up his head so I could watch him deep and intimidating in his eyes. Yes, Princess Azula, I mean no. Yes, we will go back immediately. The soldier stuttered, trembling, with his eyes squinted tightly. As the soldiers made their way back to the ship, I realized that there were still many eyes fixed on me, mostly filled with disbelief and deep hatred. I saw an elderly woman laying down on the cold and hard ground. Her body looks fragile as she was shaking heavily. I know you most likely despise me with all your might, and you have every right to. But I still want to apologize and beg you to stand up from the cold ground since it's not good for your health, I said to her in a calm manner with my head bowing down in front of her. The elderly woman didn't respond, and I didn't dare to look up to check her expression. Just as I wanted to leave, I could feel her cold, shaky hand grabbing onto my arm. Would you be so nice to help me get up, my dear? She unexpectedly said in a warm tone. Oh, of course. I stumbled, surprised at her kind attitude towards me. Barely after I wanted to gently help the elderly woman stand up, I could sense an object flying fast, moving straight at my head. I immediately ducked it, effortless. I only was able to catch a small glimpse of it, but I knew directly what it was. It was a brown wooden-made boomerang. Of course I didn't had to think twice about who threw it at me. Don't touch my grand, said a boyish voice in a terrified and evenly angry tone. After I looked around, I quickly was able to spot the boy who was talking. It was no other than Sokka. Next to him was standing his sister Katara with the exact same expression. Behind them is Aang, who to my amazement didn't look in hostility at me like the rest. Arg, I can't. They are right in front of me. That's so crazy, I screamed inside my head like a fangirl, but maintained my unbothered appearance. Since throwing myself excited at them would do nothing but probably creep them out. I didn't want to hurt her. And I apologize for what happened here, I voiced, looking at them. Someone from the Fire Nation apologizing? That's new. Do you want to make fun of us after trashing our village over nothing yet again? Sokka said while gritting his teeth. And no, Azula, what is going on here? I could hear the familiar and angry voice of Zuko coming right from behind me. As I turned around, I saw Zuko, Uncle Iroh, and also the soldiers I told to leave a few moments ago. What is going on here? That's what I would like to know. Take a look around you, brother. Was it you who told them to wreck a whole village and hurt their residents? I shouted at my brother while storming towards him. I told them to do anything necessary to find the avatar, and that's simply what they did. You are too sensitive, he replied as cold as ever. I took a pleading look at Iroh, who just avoided my gaze successfully. I'm more than disappointed in you, brother. If that's the kind of person you are now, go to hell. I exploded and felt tears out of frustration and anger gathering in my eyes. Bring her back to the ship. He ordered 2 soldiers, waving his hand at them. Don't fucking touch me, I growled as they tried to grab me. Azula, stop behaving like a child. Zuko screamed at me, which made me flinch. I now stood right between the Avatar and Water Tribe people, who gathered now on the left side, watching our family dispute like some third-class K-drama, and my family and the soldiers of the Fire Nation standing on the right side. With tears streaming down my face, I exhaled out and took on my fire-bending stance, facing not the Water Tribe or the Avatar, but my own people. I won't let you hurt those innocent people any further. Try me. Brother. To be continued. 10. Avatar. Have you lost your mind? Do you have any idea of what you're doing right now? Zuko growled, stunned while approaching me. What you mean? I'm only behaving like a traitor should behave. And don't come any closer, I don't want to have to hurt you, Zuzu. I said, trying to sound provocative, but my tears and pained look betrayed me. As Zuko didn't halted and continued to get close to me, I brought forth my left fist and sent a hot, blue glowing fireball flying directly at him that missed his head by only a few centimeters. That was my last warning. I said in a teary voice as I watched my brother's saddened glare. You may are the fire-bending prodigy of this century, but do you really think you can take on all of us? Do you think you have a chance against Uncle? Be rational, Azula, before it's too late. Right. Uncle. Why don't you say something? You know I'm right. Please say something. Anything. I said, desperate, and looked at Iroh. The warm and wise Iroh, who unfortunately only shook his head. Azula. Right or wrong is not our decision to make. We received an order. You need to listen to the adults. Come here. Let's drink a tea and calm down, huh? He answered with a warm smile, but I could tell that this was a devastating beg. You all are crazy. It's not our decision to make. Everyone is able to make their own decisions. What are we? Puppets who can't think for themselves? Nor even can differ between right or wrong? I huffed in disbelief and frustration. Princess Azula, I'm so sorry, answered Iroh only. Sorry? For WH. Before I was able to answer, he already charged at me in full speed. So fast that I wasn't even able to see his movements clearly. I never thought that I would have a chance against him, not yet definitely, but I also hoped that he would have understanding for me. As I couldn't even tell where he is right now, I only felt my hands being locked in thick metal handcuffs, preventing me from firebending or even moving properly. I let out a loud scream as he brought me over to the 2 soldiers from before. I said, don't you dare touch me, I cried out yet again as they wanted to move me to the direction of the ship. As they wanted to touch me again, suddenly a cold-wielding wind blowed them rather brutally away, which made them fall down on their butts 10 meters away from me. She said that she doesn't want to be touched, declared a gentle but warning voice who was from no one else but Aang, the Avatar himself, who was now standing right beside me. Airbender? This has to be the Avatar, I heard the soldiers mumbling by themselves. The people from the Water Tribe as well as those from the Fire Nation, including brother and uncle, were staring at the young-looking boy in surprise. Hey! I appreciate your help, but you need to leave. They are here to catch you, you know? I whispered, uneasy, to Aang. Hey! Don't help her, she's our enemy, called Sokka out to Aang, which was understandably since I am in fact supposed to be the enemy. Sokka, stop it. Katara warned him and walked towards me and Aang, only to stay right beside us. Weigh in it, what's going on now? It wasn't supposed to be like that. I didn't even wanted to meddle, and now I'm getting pitted and protected by the main characters? I felt excited but also concerned. You'll also like. My fangirl moment was quickly interrupted as Zuko cleared his throat. Avatar, come with us. We were searching for you, he said rather sheepish. I forgot that he still is nothing but a 13-year-old boy. But I don't want to, Aang answered with his head tilted to the right. You will. Zuko suddenly answered confident and started to storm at the people from the water tribe. He took in his bending stance, and for his still poorly abilities, a fairly huge flame arose and headed straight towards them. Zuko! I screamed in horror. However, Aang reacted quickly and was able to block the fire with a huge wall out of wind. The flames instantly withdrew. How could you, Aang? And I shouted at the same time. I knew nothing would happen. But now you see what can happen. We are more than only one person, so you can't be there for everyone at the same time, right? Now be good and tag along, he said, but turning his head away. I know he doesn't like what he's doing right now. But that doesn't mean that it can excuse his behavior. Aang took glances of all the people from the water tribe. Deep in thoughts, he made his way back next to me and said, Okay. But don't hurt those people. Before he even finished talking, many people from the Fire Nation charged at him and put him in the same handcuffs as mine. He could have fled, but he stood still. Aang, no! I could hear Katara screaming, and as I turned around I saw her being comforted by Sokka, who was now also taking a glimpse of me. There was no hatred anymore. If I wouldn't know better about how much he hates the Fire Nation and its people, I would think it almost looks like remorse. As we arrived back at the ship, I was immediately thrown in my chamber with my handcuffs still locked. It's been now many hours without my brother nor even uncle looking for me. I guess I fucked up now, huh? Maybe I overacted, but those screams of those children filled with pain and anxiety will follow me into my dreams for the rest of my life. I'm too impulsive to not stand up and do something. Knock knock. What? I answered to the person who just knocked on my door. Can I come in, Azula? It was Uncle Iroh. Suit yourself. I can't open the door for you since I'm still in handcuffs, I hissed at him. He opened the door and came inside. He walked to me and sat down right beside me on my bed. In his hands were 2 cups of hot tea. I know what happened today is wrong, and I also know that it's unfair, but Azula, you can't change things without a plan. Many soldiers saw how you turned against your own nation today. Your father will definitely hear about this. You can't always let anything out and let your emotions get the best. If you want to protect people, you need to be strong and clever enough. He lectured me and opened my handcuffs. So he knows I was right? So he knows what's happening is wrong? I suddenly felt a huge burden crumbling down around my heart and a wave of relief all over my body. But Uncle, if we don't even do something, things will never change, I said while rubbing at my wrists, who are now completely red and bruised from the handcuffs. Listen. I always knew you were chosen to achieve big things, Azula. And I always knew that you aren't a person who would ever be able to stand still by mistreatments. But you need to control your emotions better, then one day you will be able to do anything you want, he said gentle while handing me the cup of tea in his left hand and patting my head with his right one. I never intended to hurt anyone, Uncle, I answered while looking ashamed to the ground. I know. But I also know that you will soon have to make decisions. You were always mature, even as a baby you were unbelievable smart. Smart and worried. I never knew why, but as small as you were, you looked as if you were holding the weight of the world on your shoulders. I sometimes even thought that you were an adult captured in the body of an infant. I gulped. Of course that's not possible though. Ha ha. He laughed. Yees, ha ha. How could that be? I fake laughed back at him. But what I just want to say is, deep down, I know you have your reasons, and I will never doubt you, but you need to plan things through. And now let's drink the tea before it gets too cold. 11. Escape. It's now early evening, and I'm locked up in my room like some Disney princess. Iroh did put off the handcuffs, but apparently Zuko ordered for my movement to be restricted, so I'm currently locked up and also have 2 guards sitting behind my door. Stupid brat, I will kick your ass when I see you next time, mark my words. I thought while hitting against my wall, imagine it to be that dumbass face. Princess Azula, is everything all right? I heard one of the guards asking. Shut up. And better not come inside or I will turn you into ashes. Why I am so mean. If you would have seen how they treated little defenseless children just a few hours ago, you would understand why. They may said they were ordered, but they looked way too happy mistreating those people. It wasn't just because they were ordered, I'm done with them. Most of the people from the Fire Nation apparently just can't be helped. Dom. Now that I think about it, I don't even want to know how hell will break loose when I arrive back at the Fire Nation. If Ozai didn't already see me as a threat the moment I protected Zuko, then he will definitely now. I'm not sure if my prodigy stat can help me out anymore. I sighed heavily. There was happening so much today, I already forgot about the main characters, I thought with a big grin forming on my lips. After Azula, my absolute favorite character was always Sokka. I just loved his funny and clumsy nature. Not to mention today he looked somehow really cool. As I realized what I was just thinking about, I hit both my checks harshly. You idiot. He's still a child just like you. But you're also somehow not. What's the bigger problem now? But wait. You have bigger problems now than having a crush. Seriously, what I did today will either get me killed or locked up from my father forever. Great. Should have chosen the Caribbean island when I still had the chance, huh? Maybe I should flee and patiently wait until everything's over. That reminds me, the Avatar should already fled by now. I at least really hope so. Suddenly a dull noise was coming from behind my door, just as if something heavy would have fallen down to the floor. Hello, what's going on? I asked curious, but didn't get an answer. Hey. I now let out, but nothing happened other than the door opening slowly. I took in my defense stance only to let loose the moment I saw him coming in my room. What are you doing here? You need to flee. I ran at him and shook him on his shoulders. That's what I am about to do. But shouldn't you flee also? He asked with an innocent and questioning look on his face. Wait? Didn't he hear that I am the princess of the Fire Nation? No. You got it all wrong, you see. 2 soldiers on the ground, I repeat, 2 soldiers on the ground in front of the princess chamber. I heard someone screaming from the hallway. Damn it. Shit. Come on. We need to run. I said, panicked while grabbing onto Aang's hand and running outside towards the deck of the ship. You'll also like. Soon 2 soldiers were right in front of us, blocking the way. Just as I wanted to electroshock and paralyze them, Aang grabbed on tighter to my hand and said, trust me and hold tight. Like in some acrobatic show you would see in a circus, we now were flying with his glider through the hallway. The ceiling unfortunately wasn't high enough, so my legs were just at the same height like the soldiers' heads, which means easily to grab. I evaded their grabs, but it was all pretty shaky. As one of the soldiers I just evaded grabbed onto my right foot from behind, I kicked him violently with my left foot right in his face. He was sent flying a few meters, and as I turned around, I could see his nose bleeding severely. I am sorry. But if you would have done your homework, you would have known that my left kick is stronger. You should have held on to that 1 inch, I said, laughing like crazy. It's so exciting. I'm not sure if I ever felt that free. Were the thoughts in my head, as we arrived at the deck only to disappear as soon as I saw a bunch of soldiers and Zuko. "I see that you made your decision," he called me out with a bitter expression. "I never." Before letting me speak, Zuko sent a bunch of flames flying towards us. "Carefully," I warned Aang, but it was too late. The air who held the glider up, because of Aang's airbending, was quickly suffocated by the hot flames and lost even more stability. It wasn't able to hold up our weight anymore, and we came crashing down right on top of the deck. "That hurt like a bitch, are you crazy?" I huffed while touching my ankle in pain, because of my bad landing. Zuko nor the soldiers stopped at this point though. 10 men and Zuko came rushing right at me, who was still sitting on the ground unable to stand up. "You want to fight a defenseless person who is already on the ground? With so many people? Pussies!" I yelled at them in anger. Before they could get even close enough, Aang came flying on his glider yet again, breathing in a hell lot of air and blowing it right at them, making a few flying away like leaves in the wind. Amazing, I thought, seeing this in real life really is something else. Aang kept on protecting me. And it really is exactly like in the series. He is fighting them, but somehow not. You can clearly see how he more tries to push them away, rather than hurting them much. I'm really not sure if that can be considered a fight. I could see Zuko's blood boiling as he started to get pushed back, again and again. Damn, that doesn't look good. I somehow don't have a good feeling about this. The moment I saw which stance he took in, I held my breath. It was no other than the lighting stance. But how? He wasn't supposed to use it yet. Only way later in the series. I clenched my teeth as he was aiming right at Aang. I stood up, ignoring the pain in my ankle the best I could, and started running towards them. I was able to get between them right in time. But because of my ankle suddenly throbbing in deep pain, my stance was too sloppy and not stable enough. The lightning came racing right in my left index finger, but didn't left it to the right. 11. Escape. It's now early evening and I'm locked up in my room like some Disney princess. Iroh did put off the handcuffs, but apparently Zuko ordered for my movement to be restricted, so I'm currently locked up and also have 2 guards sitting behind my door. Stupid brat, I will kick your ass when I see you next time, mark my words. I thought while hitting against my wall, imagine it to be that dumbass face. Princess Azula, is everything all right? I heard one of the guards asking. Shut up. And better not come inside or I will turn you into ashes. Why I am so mean. If you would have seen how they treated little defenseless children just a few hours ago, you would understand why. They may said they were ordered, but they looked way too happy mistreating those people. It wasn't just because they were ordered, I'm done with them. Most of the people from the Fire Nation apparently just can't be helped. Dom. Now that I think about it, I don't even want to know how hell will break loose when I arrive back at the Fire Nation. If Ozai didn't already see me as a threat the moment I protected Zuko, then he will definitely now. I'm not sure if my prodigy stat can help me out anymore. I sighed heavily. There was happening so much today, I already forgot about the main characters, I thought with a big grin forming on my lips. After Azula, my absolute favorite character was always Sokka. I just loved his funny and clumsy nature. Not to mention today he looked somehow really cool. As I realized what I was just thinking about, I hit both my cheeks harshly. You idiot. He's still a child just like you. But you're also somehow not. What's the bigger problem now? But wait. You have bigger problems now than having a crush. Seriously, what I did today will either get me killed or locked up from my father forever. Great. Should have chosen the Caribbean island when I still had the chance, huh? Maybe I should flee and patiently wait until everything's over. That reminds me, the Avatar should already fled by now. I at least really hope so. Suddenly a dull noise was coming from behind my door, just as if something heavy would have fallen down to the floor. "Hello, what's going on?" I asked, curious, but didn't get an answer. "Hey." I now let out, but nothing happened other than the door opening slowly. I took in my defense stance only to let loose the moment I saw Ing coming in my room. "What are you doing here? You need to flee." I ran at him and shook him on his shoulders. "That's what I am about to do." "But shouldn't you flee also?" he asked with an innocent and questioning look on his face. "Wait? Didn't he hear that I am the princess of the Fire Nation?" "No. You got it all wrong, you see. Two soldiers on the ground, I repeat, 2 soldiers on the ground in front of the princess chamber." I heard someone screaming from the hallway. "Damn it. Shit. Come on. We need to run," I said, panicked, while grabbing onto Ing's hand and running outside towards the deck of the ship. "You'll also like." Soon 2 soldiers were right in front of us, blocking the way. Just as I wanted to electroshock and paralyze them, Ing grabbed on tighter to my hand and said, "Trust me and hold tight." Like in some acrobatic show you would see in a circus, we now were flying with his glider through the hallway. The ceiling unfortunately wasn't high enough, so my legs were just at the same height like the soldiers' heads, which means easily to grab. I evaded their grabs, but it was all pretty shaky. As one of the soldiers I just evaded grabbed onto my right foot from behind, I kicked him violently with my left foot right in his face. He was sent flying a few meters, and as I turned around, I could see his nose bleeding severely. "I am sorry. But if you would have done your homework, you would have known that my left kick is stronger. You should have held on to that 1 inch," I said, laughing like crazy. "It's so exciting. I'm not sure if I ever felt that free," were the thoughts in my head, as we arrived at the deck only to disappear as soon as I saw a bunch of soldiers and Zuko. "I see that you made your decision," he called me out with a bitter expression. "I never." Before letting me speak, Zuko sent a bunch of flames flying towards us. "Carefully," I warned Aang, but it was too late. The air who held the glider up, because of Aang's airbending, was quickly suffocated by the hot flames and lost even more stability. It wasn't able to hold up our weight anymore, and we came crashing down right on top of the deck. "That hurt like a bitch. Are you crazy?" I huffed while touching my ankle in pain because of my bad landing. Zuko nor the soldiers stopped at this point though. 10 men and Zuko came rushing right at me, who was still sitting on the ground unable to stand up. "You want to fight a defenseless person who is already on the ground? With so many people? Pussies!" I yelled at them in anger. Before they could get even close enough, Aang came flying on his glider yet again, breathing in a hell lot of air and blowing it right at them, making a few flying away like leaves in the wind. Amazing, I thought. Seeing this in real life really is something else. Aang kept on protecting me. And it really is exactly like in the series. He is fighting them, but somehow not. You can clearly see how he more tries to push them away, rather than hurting them much. I'm really not sure if that can be considered a fight. I could see Zuko's blood boiling as he started to get pushed back, again and again. Damn, that doesn't look good. I somehow don't have a good feeling about this. The moment I saw which stance he took in, I held my breath. It was no other than the lighting stance. But how? He wasn't supposed to use it yet. Only way later in the series. I clenched my teeth as he was aiming right at Aang. I stood up, ignoring the pain in my ankle the best I could, and started running towards them. I was able to get between them right in time. But because of my ankle suddenly throbbing in deep pain, my stance was too sloppy and not stable enough. The lightning came racing right in my left index finger, but didn't left it to the right. The impact of the lighting, that is currently collecting itself in my right shoulder, sent me brutally flying right against the wooden wall of the ship. Everything went quiet. No one said a word. The only thing that was hearable was me crashing against the wall and the lightning shot leaving through my shoulder, which left me screaming in pain as I never felt it in either of my lives. I screamed yet again, looking down at my shoulder that is badly openly wounded and my clothes completely torn around of it. Azula. I could hear Zuko say, fearful. Still full of pain, I only looked up to him. Ironic, isn't it? I protected you of being burned for your life, but now of all people it's you, who scarred my body for the rest of my life, brother. Tears were falling down his face, as he was looking full of anxiety at his shaking hands. Slowly realizing what he just did. My eyes that were staring at Zuko were only broke off by a big amount of air circulating aggressive in the air. As I looked around, I saw Aang, who was inside a big bubble made out of air. His tattoos and eyes glowing in a bright but dangerous light. Avatar mode? Really? Because of me? That's quite surprising. I tried to stand up, but my body wouldn't let me. Still in too much pain, and also the wind coming from Aang gave me no chance to even move my pinky finger. Everyone was intimidated and didn't dare to move an inch. I really wanted to do something, but just couldn't. So what now? Dude gonna create a whole ass hurricane and everyone's gonna die or what? Perfect. Hey! Are you all right? We were, oh my god. I heard the voice of Katara as she arrived at our ship and sprung off Appa. What happened? Your shoulder, are you? Oi, I appreciate your concern, like for real. But before we all gonna die do something about his god mode over there, I interrupted her and pointed with my last gathered strength weakly at Aang. Oh. Yes, of course. Wait. Sokka. You have to come down here. Now. She screamed. No, I can't, I'm still nauseous from riding this monster, he answered. Please. I can't help both of them. She is gravely injured. Their short bickering stopped, as I yet again heard a dull noise. Sokka jumped of Appa, right next to me on board. Hey, what's up? Care to help a damsel in distress? I said, looking at the figure who slowly became unclear because of my eyes losing their focus more and more. Please excuse me. He answered and started to position my body gently in his arms. It maybe was gentle, but my shoulder and ankle had a different opinion as the throbbing pain changed into absolute torture. I started to scream and cry as every movement felt like he was clawing pieces of my skin out. Hey, are you all right? We're now in safety, you need to stay awake, okay? He mumbled as he laid me down on a warm and hairy Appa. You see. Let's talk later, I'm pretty tired. I wasn't able to end my sentence as suddenly everything went black. 12. Kyoshi Conflict Page 1. When is she finally gonna wake up? Please do something. Is she okay? I heard many hysterical voices overlapping each other's, while almost yelling in concern. Additional to that, there was a high-pitched and annoying-sounding beep tone shrilling deep in my ears. As I slowly started to open my eyes, I quickly closed them again, as I was blended by garish, bright shining light that felt like it would melt my retina away every moment. I think she just opened her eyes. No! She didn't, I would have noticed. She did, I saw it clearly. No, that can't be, she. Would y'all just shut up? You're making my headache even worse, I mumbled to the fighting siblings while holding my left hand against my forehead and lifting my body slowly up into a sitting position with my right. I now opened my eyes abruptly as I suddenly remembered what all had happened. But without giving me much time to sort out my thoughts even further, Aang and Sokka began to shout excitedly and jumped right at me. OMG, you are finally awake. Fortunately for me, Katara held both of them back, grabbing each one of them at their clothes on their neck, putting them aggressively down. Hey! Carefully. She is still a patient and badly hurt. She lectured the boys. "We're sorry," letting out guilty while scratching the back of his neck. Sokka only stood there blushing slightly while nodding at Aang's words. "It's all right, I'm okay," I answered, looking at the trio, giving them a faint smile. "Are you sure? Does it still hurt?" Katara said, troubled as she pressed her opened hand gently against my forehead. "Well, I've felt better than now, but the pain ain't that bad at the moment. My shoulder still sucks, yeah. But my ankle feels all right. I'm glad, you know. You have been sleeping for 2 days. What? 2 days? I torn up my eyes wildly in disbelief. Only now I started to check out my environment hastily. I'm sitting on a green futon with 3 other futons of the same kind laying next to mine in a fairly spacious but completely empty room. The construction of this room looks more on the fragile side, with brown straw used as cover-up and bamboo-like material as support. All in all, I just don't recognize this place. As I look down at me, with my agility restricted, because my whole upper body is apparently covered in a bandage, I notice that my clothes were also changed. Only wearing clothes that are most likely Katara's spare ones, since they have the logo of the Northern Water Tribe. There is not one little detail on me that could reveal that I'm from the Fire Nation. Even my bodkin that I always wore in my hair was replaced with a blue cord, holding my hair together in a pretty messy ponytail. As I looked up to the trio again, I saw them uncomfortable and stressed, avoiding my gaze, only fidgeting nervously with their fingers. Guys? Does someone feel like filling me in? What's the situation here? I said, looking at them questionably but demanding with my eyebrows arched. What do you remember? Katara said in a dramatic exhale, but her left foot nervously stomping on the same place over and over again. You'll also like. I guess everything until my lights faded, I answered her in a laughing tone to loosen up the sudden thick air between us. It seemed to help at least a bit, since Katara is a little more relaxed, and answered while grabbing my hand. I see. Well, at this moment, we are on a small island named Kyoshi. The people here helped us immediately after they saw your bad injury. We told them it was the Fire Nation. What we didn't said is that you're from there as well. I think you already know, but it's better if no one knows your background. Also the people who were on the ship. Hey, she is still a child, we shouldn't tell her that part. Sokka butted in, putting his hand over his sister's mouth to hinder her from ending her sentence. I began to glare at Sokka, intimidating. A child? That's funny coming from another child. Hey. I don't know how old you exactly are, but you sure look younger than me. I'm 15 years old, I'm a popular warrior from the Water Tribe, so treat your elder with respect. He said, worked up with his index finger pointing at me and a proud expression on his face. I tried to hold back my laughter, I really did, but I just couldn't. After a few seconds staring at his not changing dorky position and his finger still pointing at me, I let out loud laughters. Holding my belly while then and now flinching as too much movement still made my shoulder hurt and a few tears gathering in my eyes. You are a really funny person, so adorable, I now said, wiping a few tears away. What, Adair, what? He stuttered, with his face getting so red that it looked like it would explode any moment. His reaction only made Katara and Aang amused as they began to tease and laugh at the red-faced boy, calling him the adorable warrior. A few happy and calm minutes faded until the Fire Nation was back in my mind again. Hey. I interrupted the 3, who quickly caught on the seriousness in my voice. I said, clearing my throat and slowly standing up from my futon. Thank you all for saving me, since I can imagine how hard it most likely had to be for especially the 2 of you. I announced, looking at the 2 people from the Water Tribe. Also, I think we weren't able to introduce ourselves properly right yet. My name is Azula, I'm the princess of the Fire Nation. I said in a shaky and anxious voice, since I wasn't sure if they were able to hear that part a few days ago. Silence filled the room. Yep, they definitely hate me now and regret saving me. I can't blame them though. A PPPP princess? Sokka started to stutter with his mouth opened so wide that it nearly touched the ground. Nice to meet you. My name is Katara. This idiot over there, she pointed at Sokka, is my brother. Aang, and you. Well, I think don't need any introducing. The long-haired girl stepped forth with a warm and friendly expression, telling me that she already caught on to this part. With a still deep in shock hypnotized like Sokka and affectionate Katara in front of me, Aang now had a bright smile on his face. I also knew. So no need to be afraid of our reaction. You being the princess and still protecting another weaker nation only makes you more admirable. I had a slight blush on my face because of this huge compliment from no other than the Avatar, but before I was even able to answer, our room was stormed by many people. People with thick layers of makeup who are clothed in green robes, holding onto yellow fans in their hands. Kyoshi warriors. I muttered before they all came up running at me. We knew something was foul with this friend of yours, announced the warrior who held onto me harshly, trying to push me to the ground. She isn't like that. She helped us. Katara screamed, pleading at them, but was pushed back by another warrior. I'm not like that, true. But definitely not like those three either. I'm not a diplomat or some pushover, so get your dirty hands off me before it gets ugly. I scoffed at the warrior and soon after kicked her cruelly with my knee in her stomach, making her jump to the side and groan in pain while holding on to the place I just hit. I maybe was still pretty bet, with my left shoulder out of order, hindering me from having access to all my fire-bending abilities. That doesn't matter though, since I'm still able to master karate almost identically to my previous life. What would work against the fighting style of the Kyoshi warriors even better, since they are solely trained to fight against benders who rely on their abilities. Fighting me will therefore be surprisingly hard for them. Come at me, I said with a bright smile forming on my lips, taking in the Kakutsadachi stance that is optimal to protect my shoulder the best at this moment. The Kyoshi warriors looked confused at me, glancing towards each other, not quite sure what to think. Despite being too young to be able to fight against us, you are also hurt. Do you really think you stand any chance? You only were able to push one of us back because she let her guard down. Don't get cocky, kid, one of them said, taking big steps forwards me. You know, underestimating the person you're about to fight is the biggest mistake one can make. Also, my shoulder doesn't bother me, since it's, as your friend should be able to confirm, my kicks I'm especially proud of. I grinned provocative at her, bringing my right leg towards in the blink of an eye and kicking it with full power high into the air, stopping a few millimeters in front of her face. Spellbound, the Kyoshi warrior stared baffled at my foot, who was still right in front of her head, trying to understand what just happened in this short span of only a few milliseconds. What are you waiting for? I teased her, giving her a wink. To be continued. 13. Kyoshi conflict, page 2. Hey! Calm down, Azula, you look like the bad person right now, shouted Katara, concerned at me. Bad person? I'm just not letting myself get treated like that by other people. They touched me first. If that makes me the villain, then I gladly should be it, I answered her, my eyes still pinned on the Kyoshi warrior in front of me, not blinking once. You are a feisty one, I like that kid, said another warrior suddenly as she made her way towards me, giving me a pleased grin. Stand back. She's not someone you can handle, she then said to the warrior in front of me, pushing her mildly to the side. Ah. I recognize her. It's Saki, I thought while trying to hide my excitement of being acknowledged by yet another important character. You know, we have eyes and ears everywhere. I have already heard about the Fire Nation's prodigy princess who broke the record and firebended the first time at the young age of 6, while apparently only mimicking the movements of an old scroll. I never believed those rumors in the first place, but now I'm more than excited to test them out myself. She smirked dangerously, grabbing two of her fans and positioning them in her fighting stance. Is that so? Unfortunately, I'm not going to beat you with my firebending today, I remarked, and gave her an even more dangerously, almost devilish smile in return. Stop it. Both of you, Aang interrupted us while a strong wind swept between the two of us, making us lose footage and pushing us away from each other. Hey! Why do you butt in? I huffed without the slightest understanding. We are not here to fight. They helped us, they helped you, we even lied to them, so it's our fault in the first place that we gained their hostility. He answered in a calm manner while now standing in between the Kyoshi warrior and me. That's what you call a main character's charisma, huh? I thought and rolled my eyes secretly. Everybody was now staring at Aang. Especially in the faces of the Kyoshi warriors, you could see that their brains were working hard, trying to puzzle together the pieces of what they just saw. Yeah, folks, your thoughts are right. He in fact is the Avatar. Let me introduce you, Aang the last Airbender, or simply the bald-headed kid. I announced while walking up to him, knocking softly against his upper back. Aang began to blush, rather bashful at the sudden attention and interest that he now gained from everyone in the room, besides of Sokka and Katara, who most likely already thought so far themselves without him confirming who he really is. Suki now gulped, taking a few looks around until she gained her composure back. Y'all, don't move an inch, I will be right back. She spatted, looking at us before turning to the other warriors with a serious gaze, saying, look after them and don't hurt them. With everything said, she left the room in a hurry. For how long have you known? Aang asked me, facing the ground. You'll also like. Even we knew Aang. It wasn't hard to figure out, you know, Katara answered in my stead with her hands behind her back and her usually warm and friendly smile. What? We KNEWWWW? Sokka screamed, stunned with his eyes twitching. First a real princess, even if she's unfortunately from the Fire Nation, he whispered, and now the Avatar? What do you all know as well? Why did no one tell me? He added, outraged with a big pout, and his arms folded in each other in defense stance. Because it was obvious? We three said at the exact same time, gazing at Sokka dumbfounded. Man. He really is slow. Was on my mind as I couldn't help but let out a quiet chuckle. So, what is all this fuss about? An elderly man spoke as he entered the room, studying us with sharp eyes. After a long time of explaining everything that had happened and how I betrayed my own nation to help the Avatar flee, everyone now finally calmed down, maybe even more. Then only calmed down, since in those people's eyes were no spark of suspicion nor hostility left, only respect and joy. After being literally bombarded by curious questions from the Kyoshi warriors, I finally was able to distract them and make my way alone to a silent little lake where I sat down on a big stone next to the water. It was already pretty dark outside, and the whole day was nothing but exhausting. With exhausting, I don't mean nearly having to fight against over 20 people, but more like having to explain myself and talking way too much to strangers, what definitely is completely out of my comfort zone. I finally was able to take a deep breath. I can't help, but being for too long with other people really sucks up my energy. I sighed. Finally, I am able to let the day at the ship reminisce. I closed my eyes. Ah, there you are, Azula, called the voice of Katara suddenly out to me. I opened my eyes, turned around and saw her and Suki marching towards me. Damn, there it goes my me time, I thought while showing them a plain smile. What's on your mind, princess? Suki said with a grin. Hey! Don't. I told you to call me simply Azula. I shooted her while giving her my stinky eye. All right, I'm sorry, hee. By the way, how old are you now? She asked, questioning, which made Katara's eyes light up in interest since she didn't know herself yet. Ooh, and here I thought, the Kyoshi warriors have eyes and ears everywhere, I answered her teasingly, implying her proud speech from a few hours ago. In response, Suki only started to blush beneath her white makeup, clearing her throat. We do. But that doesn't mean we are some kind of stalker. Yeah, I know. Just wanted to tease ya. I'm 11, turning 12 soon though. I said while having to think about Zuko, who just asked me a few days ago what my birthday wish was. The excitement in Katara's eyes, that we had the same age, didn't hold on long as she soon saw the darkened and pained look on my face. Saki caught on soon as well and tried to lighten up the mood. But aren't 11 years old supposed to be cute? Why are you so uncute then? She giggled and pinched me lightly in the side. It's the Fire Nation genes, can't help it. But therefore I'm absolutely gorgeous. Can't have anything, right? I answered in a delighted and sarcastic tone, pinching her back. You really are a tough and feisty young kid. She rubbed my hair, all messy. Well, maybe. A few moments of comfortable silence passed until I chose to finally ask the question that has been bugging me all day. Katara. The thing Sokka said I was too young to hear about the Fire Nation ship, what did he meant with that? What happened after I passed out? She started fiddling nervously with her clothes, avoiding my gaze. Tell me, I followed up. Well, you see. While you passed out, I tried to calm down Aang. He was, in a really strange and dangerous state. She carefully said and stopped, turning her gaze straight at the lake that is shimmering in the moonlight. And? I added, turning my gaze to the lake as well. Afraid of hearing what might comes next. It was a big chaos. He started to throw people off the deck. Not on purpose. But a lot looked severely injured. And as Sokka carried you forth from the ship, Prince Zuko, or I mean your brother, ran after you. But? I said rather monotone and emotionless. Aang held on to him. With water bending. He kinda prevented him from breathing. He is not dead, I said sternly with tears rolling down my face. He is not dead, right? I now looked pleading at Katara, who remained silent. I started to shook Katara on her shoulders, getting harsher and harsher with every shook. Katara, I now screamed out, making her flinch. I don't know. I hit Aang pretty hard. He then snapped back and stopped immediately. The last thing I saw while I took Aang to run off board was an old man next to your brother, trying to make him breath. I think it was like my whole body was suddenly frozen and underwater, not being able to feel, see, or hear anything other than emptiness. I only came back to my senses when I felt my body being embraced in a tight hug. After a few minutes, while I still was being embraced by Saki, I looked up at the night sky. Thank you for telling me. I'm really tired right now, see you both tomorrow, I said weakly, signaling Saki to let go of me. Azula, wait. Katara now said, holding on to my wrist. Yeah? Aang can't remember what he did while he was in that state. And Sokka and I haven't told him yet. I get it. You don't want me to say something about that to him, right? I said quietly, trying not to get angry at this situation. Well, yes. That. I won't. Good night. 14. Finding peace. Before I went into the room, which we all shared to sleep, I decided to take a walk since I wasn't particularly keen about the thought of having to talk to Aang right now. I'm not mad at him. At least I try not to, since I know it was an accident, and also I know that it's my fault. No one else can be blamed. If I wouldn't have meddled into the plot in the first place, it wouldn't have happened like that. A lot of things are currently running through my mind. I'm nothing but impulsive, playing God, and ironically, even a bad one. Making situations just worse, not any better. I've told myself I would change the outcome of Azula's life. But I know she would despise me for the decision I made in her name so far. Goddamn, what a load of crap, I have defeated and overstrained as I plumped down with my knees on the ground, running my fingers through my hair. You know, sometimes you say the strangest things, which I've never heard of before, the figure of Sokka said, that's coming right towards me. It's a Fire Nation slang. I made up, trying my best to sound convincing. What's wrong? You're behaving a little different. He tilted his head and crouched down right in front of me. Nothing, I'm fine, just tired, I answered, avoiding his gaze and faking a small yawn. For a few seconds, he looked absolutely wordless and concentrated in my face, studying every feature and every little expression, thoughtful, until he muttered, "Why are you lying?" Fairly caught off guard, I widened my eyes in shock, looking back at the suddenly empathetic boy who's behaving completely out of character. You are normally always slow in everything, so how come you knew I was lying? I asked him after I composed myself, staring at him with narrowed eyes. Sokka suddenly had a big, almost enchanting smile on his face as he proudly pointed at himself. See? I knew you were lying, so now tell me. I had to suppress my laughter as he seemingly completely faded out the fact that I just called him slow. I'm not lying, you know. So much is going on, honestly I'm just tired and exhausted of everything. I decided to open up, and gave him a faint smile while turning my gaze to the moon and stars on the dark and wide horizon. So Katara told you? The boy said calmly, and in the corner of my eyes I could see him sitting down next to me with his gaze joining mine, to the black heaven above us. Yes. She did. Were the last few words I could spit out, before I felt tears yet again gathering in my eyes, turning my sight all blurry. Don't be too anxious. I speak of my own experience when I say that you guys from the Fire Nation aren't that easy to kill. He most likely was just knocked out, he said in a thoughtful tone, but unable to hide his deep-seated hatred entirely. Yeah, I answered rather short while resting my head in my knees and closing my teary eyes. I don't know you that long nor well. But looking this weak just somehow doesn't suit you, he spoke in a warm and gentle tone, trying to comfort me. You'll also like. I let his soft-spoken words sink in for a few minutes before I straightened up my head, that was resting in my knees, and turned my eyes at Sokka. Thank you. I really appreciate your words. The boy quickly avoided my gaze, and in the dark moonlight I could see his face turning in a hint of red until he cleared his throat. Are you mad at Aang? He now said in a careful manner, trying to be as sensitive as possible. No, actually I'm not. This situation sure is conflicting for me, but at the end of the day it wouldn't have happened if I didn't meddle, you know. I answered him quietly, tracing with my fingers over the bandage of my wound while remembering the pulsating sensation of the lighting again, which made me twitch slightly. So, do you regret standing up against your brother? I never stood up against him, I said, turning my gaze up to the moon again and pausing for a short moment before I continued. I stood up against the Fire Nation and its barbaric, disgustingly behavior. I ended my words with a heavy breathing. I see. You are a strong person, Azula, he said in a serious tone while giving me a light nudge against my shoulder. There you are. I was looking for you. The lively voice of Aang interrupted me. Oh hey, I tried to sound as normal as possible but couldn't help but let my words out rather awkwardly. Aang, being the main character that he is, he sensed that something was off almost immediately while suspiciously bending down to me and Sokka. You look sad. Is everything okay? He spoke with his face so near to mine that I could feel his breath on my skin, and with his goofy facial expression that one can't help but soften under. Well, no. Haha, I'm not. I'm just tired, I answered him, and apparently convincing since he backed up and started to laugh. I understand why. So much happened the last few days, all your chakra must be completely messy, he now said in an excited manner while throwing his hands behind his head. Chakra? Did I land in some Avatar Naruto crossover universe or something? I thought, and couldn't help but gaze at the boy in suspicion and curiosity. You see, back in the air temple we meditated many times a day, for a clear mind and also body that helps our internal energy. Before I could even protest, the avatar dragged me from the ground, held onto my hand and started to run. Ignoring all my questions and complaints skillfully. Even Sokka was just being left behind. I could hear a few yells from him, but even those didn't simply brushed aside. We arrived back at the room the Kyoshi warrior gave us. Aang, what? I huffed out of breath as he halted in front of my futon. You go to sleep now. Tomorrow morning we will meditate, he said in a stern but dorky voice, pushing me softly down to my futon. You need to rest, he now announced and tucked me in the bed covers. Aang, nope. Good night. Despite not wanting to be treated like some little kid, especially from another even bald-headed kid, I couldn't help myself but feel my body almost drowning in relaxation. My muscles started to untighten and even my eyes closed of one's accord. The silence in the room was pleasing, with only the noises of the wind audible that wiggled its way into the room through the modern walls and almost felt like a lullaby to my ears. Well, it's actually not that bad. Wakey wakey, I heard the singing voice of Aang warbling while tapping in an annoying rhythm against my forehead. Over. And. Over. Again. You are tired of your life. Is that it? I growled while I rubbed my eyes to adjust better to the brightness that filled the room. No, but we are busy today, so come stand up, Azula, please. I could see his figure through my still blurry eyes jumping up and down next to my futon. Aang. That's not how you wake someone up. The soft voice of Katara told him off in a whisper yell before she kneeled down next to my futon and spoke. Good morning, Azula. I have brought you a tea. A tea, huh? For a second I had to gulp at her statement, but hid it in a big yawn. I sat up and gave her a faint smile. Good morning. And thanks, Katara. You welcome. Also, since the people from Kyoshi now know who you are, I laid down your clothes over there. I cleaned them. And also stitched the hole on the shoulder part. It's not perfect, but... I didn't let her finish and promptly jumped at her. I thankfully threw my hands around her neck, pulling her in a tight hug. Thank you. I shrilled and took a look at my clothes. Like, seriously, no offense or something, but the blue Northern Water Tribe clothes just didn't suit me at all. There simply is nothing that looks better on B than the color red. Period. In amazement, I looked down on the clothes that I have now in my hands. Katara surely did a great job. It almost looks like it has to look that way. Crazy. Hurry, hurry, Aang now shouted while riding on a wind ball. Which is super annoying, since the wind is whirling of all the dust. Just as I wanted to hiss at the hyperactive boy, Katara grabbed him on his shoulders and pushed him with a loud bang out of the room. Sue. I will also wait outside. See you later. Before I let her leave, I ran towards her and held onto her wrist. Katara, I'm really sorry about yesterday, I just needed my space. No hard feelings. And also, thanks. I uttered shyly with my gaze turned to the ground. For a second the room fell completely silent and I hesitantly brought my head up to get a hash glance of her facial expressions. Are those tears? Completely stunned, I could only watch at her reaction questionably. I'm really glad, she suddenly said with a big smile forming and teary eyes, until she continued, I really thought you would hate us now. Or hate me. I was so afraid that telling you that was the wrong decision. She let out a loud sob and I could tell that a heavy weight just fell down from her heart. Man, they sure are all full of emotions here. I'm not good with emotions or showing them. I may have a great sense for them, being an unfortunately pretty empathetic But I rather not let other people know, since that makes me feel super uncomfortable and awkward, especially when people cry. Well. When are you ready? The annoying but now really convenient voice of Aang barged in. Thank you fucking much, Hawaii shirt god. I prayed in my head, relieved. I let go of her wrist, cleared my throat, and smiled at Katara. I should get dressed now, before the whole house gonna get blown away by him. Yes. She answered in now good spirits before leaving our room while humming some sort of melody. After I put on my clothes and changed the bandage around my shoulder, I promptly went looking for Aang, which didn't take really long, since he were all jittery waiting for me right behind the house. Hurry, hurry. Yes, I rolled my tired eyes. As we arrived at some big grassland on top of a hill with the lake where I just sat down yesterday night, I took a glimpse at Aang, who only peaceful stood beside me. His eyes closed, his arms stretched forward, and his breathing steady. The boy that was so jittery and restless just a few seconds ago seems to be now all tranquil. I copied his stance, but couldn't help but feel out of place. Found this pic on Pinterest. Like, isn't it absolutely wholesome? PLLLLS, love. Of course I did mediate in my old life. Well, I at least tried to, because that was an obligation I had to do before my karate lessons. But I never quite understood it. I was always restless, my thoughts running wild, and I would never feel at ease. I'm a person who likes movement, that is what gives me peace. But mediation? You know, Azula, you are going to stare a hole into me. I was startled for a few seconds by his soft-spoken words, since I didn't understood how he was able to feel my eyes on him. It's just nonsense, Aang. I don't like mediation, it's just not for me. I complained while I let out a deep breath in frustration. The Avatar wasn't fazed by my complaint and didn't move an inch. With his eyes still closed, he said, there are a lot things on your mind. You can distract yourself and they will go temporarily. However, things will always catch up to you one day, and the only way to find peace of mind is having control over your thoughts and emotions. He's not supposed to be this mature. Where did those words came from now? That does not sound like you at all. I only answered him with narrowed and skeptical eyes. Well, haha. They are not mine. They are from Gyatso. Back then, at the Air Temple. I hated mediation too. But he taught me how important it actually is. He now said while he slowly opened his eyes, before he added, sit down. After I let his words sink in, I obediently chose to sit down without any hesitation. The moment I sat down, he rested his hands gently against my back. You have a lot of energy running wild in you. If you learn to control your emotions, you will be super strong one day. He said with a touch of amazement in his voice. Controlling my emotions? Why do people keep telling me that? Geez, I thought while I rolled my eyes slightly. Close your eyes. He said, and I again did what I was told. For a few more minutes, he kept giving me instructions which I all followed neatly. The last instruction he gave me was to visualize a random thought. I firstly thought that this is stupid since I didn't understood what and how he meant that, but that is before I was standing beside Aang. And my body? Yes, my body sitting on the green grass in mediation pose. Looking down at me in shock, I saw that my figure now was transparent. And a better look on my surroundings, who are tinged in a dark violet color, hinted me that this was not my real body or the real world. Before I was able to enjoy the feeling of my light-feeling body that is able to float like a leaf in the wind, everything started to become distorted. I had no time to panic as I was now suddenly floating in the garden of the Fire Nation's palace. In front of me, I could see 2 children running around, letting out happy shrieks. Those 2 children were no other than me and Zuko. Well, those are good old memories, I guess. I thought before everything distorted itself again. It continued like that for what felt like hours and hours. Memories were shown to me that I even already forgot about. A mixed feeling of happiness and also sadness was collecting itself in my throat. And finally, I arrived at my last memory, the night on the ship where I saw Zuko the last time. Tears were running down my cheeks as I watched the scene playing in front of me. But those were tears of pain and also relief. There were no tears of doubt or regret. Everything I've seen until now only confirmed to me that I would do every little decision I had made so far just the same. My emotions maybe directed me to do so in the heat of the moment, but those were the right things to do. This is my life now. I know that a lot of things need to take place, just like in the original plot, but I also know that the children's series I used to love seeing on TV was nothing like the real world I am in now. Here is war. People are dying, people are being robbed, not only of their belongings, but also their humanity. It's a battle. And I will fight for the right side. 15. Future plans. For God's sake, Katara, that's not how you throw a punch. I foiled at her awkward attempt of following my movement. We have been resting now on Kyoshi Island for nearly a month, and I have been giving her and Sokka a few lessons of basic karate and overall simple self-defense. Aang refused with hands and feet, talking about not wanting to learn something that can harm anyone. Beats me, since blowing people away with a whole-ass tornado won't break their bones or something. In those 4 weeks of training them, they unfortunately haven't made much progress. God knows, I'm definitely not the best teacher, but calling this material arts would be an insult. Sokka even gave up already, he says he is ready to face an army. Delusional. He just don't like being told what to do, and most importantly by a girl that's on top of that even younger than him. I guess it would also hurt my pride, but at this point, we just don't have the time for that. Tomorrow is my 12th birthday, and since my shoulder is almost completely healed, we will leave Kyoshi Island. It's time to move on. To put it simply, the time we have for our future plans is tighter than they all can be aware of right now. There are a few things in the plot that I want and need to change. Our group. We need more people, more allies, and that earlier did I plan to expand our reach, so that we can even help people that aren't shown in the series. Read at the end. Author's note: ASAP, love. The original plot is all about the main characters getting stronger, but we rarely get an insight of the people who are in deep need of help. I have a few targets, and one already promised to follow us, Saki. After I told her about my plans of saving villages that are still in the claws of the Fire Nation, she only had a pleased smirk on her face, and it didn't take her long to accept. Our first travel destination will be the Southern Air Temple. It does pains me knowing what awaits us, but Aang needs to see the urgency and gravity of the situation the world is in right now with his own eyes. Also, of course, we gotta go pick up Momo. Azula. Don't neglect your own training. Won't your abilities become sloppy if you only play teacher? The voice of Saki called out to me shortly before she threw a fan that had quite some speed at me. I didn't need to turn around and caught the fan without much hassle as I answered calmly with a proud grin, "You wish. Maybe you should also be one of my students, though." Without giving her time to answer at my declaration, I turned around and charged at her. While I was running, I sent with my left fist a small blue fireball right at her face. Of course it only was a feint, since I knew she would dodge it easily. As she was distracted by it, I already was standing right behind her, holding her just thrown fan against her throat. What was that about my abilities becoming sloppy? I whispered in her ear with a satisfied expression as I removed her fan from her throat and pressed it into her left hand. Feisty as always, she uttered while she rested her arm on my shoulders and messed up my hair in a playful fashion. The relationship between Saki and I sure was good. To me, she feels a little bit like an older sister that I never had. And I'm honestly glad for that. As I was distracted by the little spar against Saki, I didn't even notice that Katara was sitting in a rather defeated manner on the ground, eyeing at the both of us with an anxious expression. "Hey. You okay? What's wrong?" I said gently as I kneeled down in front of her, laying down one hand on her knee. "You'll also like. It's just. I'm just useless." You both are excellent fighters, and you know exactly what you're doing. And then here is me, I can't even waterbend properly. She muttered in an exhausted tone of voice, while the glance down concentrated on the stony ground beneath us. Oh boy. If she only knew what of a great fighter and bender she will become one day, I thought, while I couldn't hide the small smile creeping on my lips as seeing the one and only Katara beat up like that felt ironic. You are useless. Yeah. And your material arts sure does suck. I now spoke, which gave me the almost hilarious and stunned looks of Katara and Saki. But I continued, when I started I sucked too. Everyone does. No matter how much talent one may has, everyone needs to start at some point. I was lucky enough to have firstly, talent and secondly, access to firebend scrolls. I started under completely different conditions. You are doing great so far, honestly. Also, you don't want to keep being useless? Continue doing your best. I just know you definitely will be unbelievable strong one day. Right after I finished my little speech, Katara had a fiercely glimpse of determination in her eyes, while she nodded her head in agreement and motivation. Saki only gave me a hard hit against my neck while snorting a loud, amused laughter. It is now late at night, and we are currently sitting on a beautiful-looking big wooden table that has lots of food and drinks on it. The air is filled with both cheer and glum. Cheer, because we are celebrating the start of my birthday, and glum, because it is our goodbye meal. Not only ours, but Saki will leave Kyoshi Island with us. Despite a few sad faces here and there, we all have much fun. Laughing, singing and dancing carefree how children and young adults should. Just as I was teasing Sokka because I stole his boomerang playfully, the elderly man who is the tribal chief came walking towards me. You are a splendid young lady. And I'm sure you will achieve great things in the future. Seeing as there are still people from the Fire Nation like you, gave me and many other people hope. Take this as a little keepsake. I'm sure you will make good use of it. He spoke with soft facial expressions, while giving me something that is packed up in big leaves and cord. I nodded in response and had a shy and flustered smile on my face, since I didn't expect that I would receive something from the Kyoshi people. As I was slowly opening the package, I felt the gazes of the people around on me and couldn't help but feel excited. Wow! Was the only thing in my head as I mesmerized looked down on the beautiful red-colored fans in my hand. They were light but sturdy with thorough dark red stitches that formed flames on top of the fans. I could tell that whoever made them took a lot of effort into them. The bright smile that formed on my lips was the signal for everyone that I more than enjoyed my present, which made everyone around start to chatter and cheer joyfully. Say, Princess, didn't you told us that you will burn everyone alive who will give you a birthday present? Said Saki while she gave me a nudge against the shoulder. Shut it! I hissed at her while I, exhausted, dropped down on my futon. Saki only replied with a coy smile. Katara, Sokka, Aang, Saki and I were now in the bedroom. This would be the last night where we would sleep in here. The real journey is just about to begin. Say, Saki. What are you doing here? Aang said, curious as he glanced towards her from his futon, since Saki obviously has her own room here. She only shrugged, as she dropped down next to me on my futon in a dramatic manner. Well, I dunno. Ask Princess over there, she told me to follow you guys, she now answered while pointing her thumb at me. All attention is now on me as I cleared my throat and said, I just wanted you all to know that the time ahead of us will not easy end. Before I finished my sentence, Saki threw herself all over me. No shit, Sherlock. Don't be so serious, you are way too young for wrinkles. Hey! I huffed while I desperately tried to get her off me, also. Where you got that phrase from? I added after I finally brushed her off me. Who just could that be? Not like here are many people who say such absurd things all the time. She answered in a sarcastic tone of voice while she slowly stood up. I'm going to sleep now. Y'all have a good night's sleep, we gonna see each other tomorrow morning. And you, she pointed at me, stop worrying for once, kid. The moment she was out of the room, Aang and Sokka started to laugh frantic. Even Katara had to hide her laugh. Well, I guess that's not how I had our conversation in mind. They sure gonna be the death of me. 16. Southern Air Temple. Ah, there it is. Can you guys see it? Can you see it? It's the Southern Air Temple. We finally arrived, screamed Aang, overly excited, while jumping up and down right on poor Appa's head. Sokka, Katara and Suki exchanged quickly a few worried glances with each other, since they after all know just as well as I do that what is awaiting Aang won't be pleasant for him. Of course they aren't aware to the whole extent of the horror that awaits us like I do. I wish that there was something that I could do. But unfortunately I know that some things just have to happen like in the original. They do need character development after all. And especially he does, the avataring. Aang, stop being so wobbly, poor Appa gonna get a concussion because of you. I lectured him while giving him a light slap against his neck. Yes, Azula. But what's a concussion? The avatar looked at me with big eyes and his head tilted sideways. Never mind that, I answered hastily while turning my gaze at the breathtaking view in front of me. There truly is nothing I've seen in this world here so far that could compare with the beauty of this landscape, even though at this moment it's nothing but a big graveyard, filled with the dead souls of the sorrowful monks that were slaughtered by the Fire Nation. I thought, this looks like a good spot to land. Appa, go down here, the excited boy said with a smile that but the closer we would arrived at the ground would start to fade more and more. He did not see the worst yet, but it's already empty and cold. The overall feeling one gets here is just glum, even without yet knowing what took place here. Hey Aang, maybe we should talk a bit before, Katara started to speak, but was quickly interrupted by the avatar who jumped the last few meters off the still midair flying Appa. We can't do anything, Katara. He needs to see it with his own eyes, Suki stated while giving her a sympathetic glance. Yes. He does. We have been walking around in this ghost town, what used to be the peaceful air temple, for a while now, as we finally arrived at the big chamber that is filled with the monumental sculptures of the past lives Aang lived, all the past avatars. Wow, this is crazy, Suki whisper yelled and put a stop to the silence in our group. Aang, this is you, all your past lives. Katara stated with a smile. Aang was too perplexed to respond to Katara as he just studied the huge stone figures ahead of us wholeheartedly and somewhat nostalgic. Of course, I was equally stunned at this sight. Hello, great-grandfather, I thought as I shortly halted in front of the huge stone sculpture of Avatar Roku. Jesus Christ. What the hell, I bursted out in shock as I could have sworn that for a split second, his eyes lit up in a red light. Azula! What's wrong? Katara asked, concerned, while she ran towards me. Everyone's eyes were now pointed at me questioningly. Nothing. I'm fine, there just was a bug. It's nothing. They probably would think I'm crazy if I tell them what I just saw, and Sokka, well, he would be even more of a chicken. That would be too annoying right now, I thought, and gave the group a reassuring smile. You'll also like. After a few more minutes, it was now Sokka who suddenly started to scream like a maniac as we now saw a weird-looking little shadow jumping back and forth at the entrance. Everyone hid away scared, just me and Aang were at ease. Momo, the cute little guy, ran away from us and brought us right into the room which would represents the heart of this graveyard and is the resting place of no other than the monk eldest. Aang, calm down. Katara pleaded at him while he was in a devastating state. The moment he laid eyes upon the dead bodies of his fellow monks, he lost it completely and went straight into God mode. Just like in the series. We are on your side, Sokka sinned. We sure are. Right, princess? Suki added and gave me a small wink which can be translated into say something. Well, of course we are. Aang. The past can't be changed, only the future can. Now you see the fire nations. My nations. True face. The world needs correction. The world needs the avatar, the world needs you. I spoke while resting my hand on his shoulder with a weird, not identifying feeling deep down in my stomach. After a few more affirmative words from us, he finally calmed down. His just angry and saddened gray eyes now holding a deep determination into them. Let's rest here for the night, I said, pointing at a quiet-looking glade surrounded by trees, while a small yawn is escaping my lips. I am hungry, Sokka grunted while letting himself fall down dramatically on the ground. HNN. Yeah, true, I also could have a bite of something, Suki commented. After we all agreed that we really need something between our teeth, we formed groups to search the area for anything edible and usable. Suki and Katara, Aang and I, and well, Sokka. No one really felt like listening to more of his crying, so we made him team up with Momo. Say, Aang, how are you feeling now? I asked him cautiously as we were searching on the ground for mushrooms and useful plants. I'm not sure. I'm sad, but also thankful, I guess. Thankful that I have you guys. And that I've seen the truth, I think, that he said, thoughtful with honesty in his voice. I see. I see was the only answer my mouth was able to mutter after a few seconds already had passed. And Azula, I apologize for what I did to your brother back at the ship. And the other people from your nation, he said calmly while I was able to feel his gaze on my back. So you remember now? I answered, understanding, but with a bitter undertone that I wasn't able to hide. Yes. When I was being back in that state again. I see. I'm thankful for your apology. It's fine though, Aang. You wanted to protect me. I appreciate that, I really do. I said, throwing my head around and meeting his gaze. His expression softened as he looked relieved at my words. For a few minutes there was a comfortable silence between us before he cleared his throat. Say, Azula, what exactly are you planning on doing now? I wish I knew. Everything's just complicated, you know? What I do know is that I want to help the people who are currently suffering because of my people. I answered with a light shrug. As Aang noticed that I began wandering rather dejected in my thoughts, he threw a weird-looking mushroom towards my head. Well, that's the plan, no? We about to do just that, he grinned from ear to ear. Yeah, you right. I said, humming while I did not hesitate to throw the mushroom right back at his face with such speed that it made him lose his balance and fall right back on the ground. That's what you get for messing with me, I grinned amused, but took immediately a run for it, since I just know that he will take revenge with a ball of wind. Back at our camp, we all ate the things we collected that of course did not have the best taste. But it was peaceful, which made the food still weirdly enjoyable. I do not like this chapter too much, kinda filler, kinda too much big sad, but still necessarily. Also, it's been months, had to somehow find my way back into the story again. So please have mercy. 17. Spirit Realm. The moment I woke up, everything was covered in a red-colored thick fog. What's going on here? I thought, turning my gaze where the rest of the group was supposed to be. They are all gone. Did they leave me here? Where are they? I stood up to take a better look around. Only now I realized that the air isn't only foggy, but it is filled with smoke, as if the whole place just caught fire. But there's no fire? Just smoke mixed up with a wide wall of fog. Okay, awesome. Really nice. Enough with the pranks. I'm sorry for throwing the mushroom at you, Aang. I'm sorry for putting a mealworm in your food, Sokka. I'm sorry for having better fighting skills than you, Suki. I'm sorry for... Never mind, Katara, you're far too innocent. The first can't ever be mean to you anyways. But hello? Guys, please. I called out while laughing uncomfortably, but no response. Fucking hello? Anyone? I now added, stressed out and frantic. After a few more minutes of absolute silence, I finally was able to stop being delusional. They wouldn't pull a prank on me like that. Well, not Katara, that is. But what the hell is going on here? Did I die again? Hello, Hawaii shirt god? Nothing. There was no use standing around like I was stuck in cement, looking around like a dumbass calling out into the nothing. So I decided to take a walk around. Avatar: The Last Airbender suddenly changed genre to horror or something? Usually, I'm not someone to be afraid of things easily, but this atmosphere was just not it. It feels heavy and threatening. Every little fiber in my body tells me to run and hide. Suddenly, everything felt hot, not the kind of hot you feel on an annoying July day where the sun is penetrating you from above while you're late and have to take a run for your bus. But the kind of hot where your whole body feels like it is standing in literal flames and is melting your skin off your bones. I do not like this. I do not like this at all, I gasped while my legs started to feel like jelly and my sweat was dripping down all over my face. Nasty. That's nasty. I hate sweating. Whoever just turned this place into a goddamn sauna from hell, stop this madness, I squealed out. Ho, a deep and old-sounding masculine voice laughed so loudly that it gave me the chills. Youngsters these days sure have some funny and interesting words, it now spoke. WTF, I only thought as all at once everything turned white. There was nothing to see. Just blankness. The ground, white. No walls. No end. Nothing to see. Is this heaven? I now yelled out in confusion. Heaven? What is heaven? The voice, who I assume belongs to an elderly man, called out to me again without showing himself. Oh, thank God, but look. I don't want any problems or anything. If you're not going to show yourself or planning on doing anything to me, then? Please stop this? No response until there suddenly were loud footsteps coming from right behind me, walking in a steady pace towards me. I did not think twice. Whatever was going on, and whoever this was, is a creepy freak. In one flink movement, I turned around and tossed the best I could yet manage, blue burning fireball, to the person in front of me. He caught it? You'll also like. What I've just witnessed was unbelievable. As the person in front of me not only caught it but also made it vanish entirely into the nothing with his left palm, making it look like it was just a small spark. How I stuttered before I gasped. Avatar Roku? My mouth open wide and my eyes torn open. Yes, my cute little descendant, I know that you. You're a creep? I blurted out, stunned. A creep? What is a creep? He said while brushing over his beard with a confused expression in his face. Oh, I mean. Well, it's nothing. Am I dreaming? Why and how are you here? I said while swiftly changing the topic to the most obvious question. Oh, you see, my dear, your physical body is in fact dreaming. But your spiritual body is currently here, in the spiritual realm. Only for a short time I am able to hold up this place, he said in a happy tone of voice while closing the rest of the distance between us. Okay, so. Good to know. But why am I here? I asked him, questioning while looking up, since this old man sure is quite the giant. Ho, that, my dear. I do not know. You shouldn't be able to be here. A mortal soul should shatter the very second it comes in contact with this realm, he started to say playfully, until his voice turned more and more serious with every spoken word. I, confused, only kept staring at him in disbelief. Spirit realm? Isn't it supposed to be filled with spirits? And overall, just a beautiful place. As if he was able to read my mind, he continued, this space here is created by me. You could call it a protective coat, which is currently wrapped around us to protect us from the space you created. The space. That I created? I uttered, still as dumbfounded as before he explained my thoughts. Yes, the space that you created. Some spirits of the realm are able to do so. But it does absorbs an enormous amount of spiritual energy, which you, as a mortal, should not have in the first place. My great-grandfather said with a glare. My head hurts. I don't understand a thing. Is this all just a dream? Your soul, my child, you have two of them in your name, don't you? One, past and almost dim, the other shining bright. I can see it clearly. But that should not be. It interferes with any and every law. Is my question, who are you, my dear descendant? I chalked at his words, how, he knows. Just as I was thinking about a good answer, the ground started to shake, almost vibrating in a tact. My vision turning blurry and distorted. The just now so white and seemingly endless-looking room shattering into shards, crumbling down. Time's up, my dear. You need to find your body. And do not let the voices get to you. Do not. And just as he finished his sentence, everything turned from white to black. Nothing but endless devouring darkness. 17. Spirit realm. The moment I woke up, everything was covered in a red-colored thick fog. What's going on here? I thought, turning my gaze where the rest of the group was supposed to be. They are all gone. Did they leave me here? Where are they? I stood up to take a better look around. Only now I realized that the air isn't only foggy, but it is filled with smoke, as if the whole place just caught fire. But there's no fire? Just smoke mixed up with a wide wall of fog. Okay, awesome. Really nice. Enough with the pranks. I'm sorry for throwing the mushroom at you, Aang. I'm sorry for putting a mealworm in your food, Sokka. I'm sorry for having better fighting skills than you, Suki. I'm sorry for... Never mind, Katara, you're far too innocent. The first can't ever be mean to you anyways. But hello? Guys, please. I called out while laughing uncomfortably, but no response. Fucking hello? Anyone? I now added, stressed out and frantic. After a few more minutes of absolute silence, I finally was able to stop being delusional. They wouldn't pull a prank on me like that. Well, not Katara, that is. But what the hell is going on here? Did I die again? Hello, Hawaii shirt god? Nothing. There was no use standing around like I was stuck in cement, looking around like a dumbass calling out into the nothing. So I decided to take a walk around. Avatar: The Last Airbender suddenly changed genre to horror or something? Usually, I'm not someone to be afraid of things easily, but this atmosphere was just not it. It feels heavy and threatening. Every little fiber in my body tells me to run and hide. Suddenly, everything felt hot, not the kind of hot you feel on an annoying July day where the sun is penetrating you from above while you're late and have to take a run for your bus. But the kind of hot where your whole body feels like it is standing in literal flames and is melting your skin off your bones. I do not like this. I do not like this at all, I gasped while my legs started to feel like jelly and my sweat was dripping down all over my face. Nasty. That's nasty. I hate sweating. Whoever just turned this place into a goddamn sauna from hell, stop this madness, I squealed out. Ho, a deep and old-sounding masculine voice laughed so loudly that it gave me the chills. Youngsters these days sure have some funny and interesting words, it now spoke. WTF, I only thought as all at once everything turned white. There was nothing to see. Just blankness. The ground, white. No walls. No end. Nothing to see. Is this heaven? I now yelled out in confusion. Heaven? What is heaven? The voice, who I assume belongs to an elderly man, called out to me again without showing himself. Oh, thank God, but look. I don't want any problems or anything. If you're not going to show yourself or planning on doing anything to me, then please stop this. No response until there suddenly were loud footsteps coming from right behind me, walking in a steady pace towards me. I did not think twice. Whatever was going on, and whoever this was, is a creepy freak. In one flink movement, I turned around and tossed the best I could yet manage, blue burning fireball, to the person in front of me. He caught it? You'll also like. What I've just witnessed was unbelievable. As the person in front of me not only caught it but also made it vanish entirely into the nothing with his left palm, making it look like it was just a small spark. How I stuttered before I gasped. Avatar Roku? My mouth open wide and my eyes torn open. Yes, my cute little descendant, I know that you. You're a creep? I blurted out, stunned. A creep? What is a creep? He said while brushing over his beard with a confused expression in his face. Oh, I mean. Well, it's nothing. Am I dreaming? Why and how are you here? I said while swiftly changing the topic to the most obvious question. Oh, you see, my dear, your physical body is in fact dreaming. But your spiritual body is currently here, in the spiritual realm. Only for a short time I am able to hold up this place, he said in a happy tone of voice while closing the rest of the distance between us. Okay, so. Good to know. But why am I here? I asked him, questioning while looking up, since this old man sure is quite the giant. That, my dear. I do not know. You shouldn't be able to be here. A mortal soul should shatter the very second it comes in contact with this realm, he started to say playfully, until his voice turned more and more serious with every spoken word. I, confused, only kept staring at him in disbelief. Spirit realm? Isn't it supposed to be filled with spirits? And overall, just a beautiful place. As if he was able to read my mind, he continued, this space here is created by me. You could call it a protective coat, which is currently wrapped around us to protect us from the space you created. The space that I created? I uttered, still as dumbfounded as before he explained my thoughts. Yes, the space that you created. Some spirits of the realm are able to do so. But it does absorbs an enormous amount of spiritual energy, which you, as a mortal, should not have in the first place. My great-grandfather said with a glare. My head hurts. I don't understand a thing. Is this all just a dream? Your soul, my child, you have two of them in your name, don't you? One, past and almost dim, the other shining bright. I can see it clearly. But that should not be. It interferes with any and every LAW.SO is my question. Who are you, my dear descendant? I chalked at his words. How, he knows. Just as I was thinking about a good answer, the ground started to shake, almost vibrating in a tact. My vision turning blurry and distorted. The just now so white and seemingly endless-looking room shattering into shards, crumbling down. Time's up, my dear. You need to find your body. And do not let the voices get to you. Do not. And just as he finished his sentence, everything turned from white to black. Nothing but endless, devouring darkness. Hello? I called out. But there's nothing. Can't see shit in here. WTF, I thought as I carefully tried to feel with my foot if there really is a ground beneath me before my every step. This is a mess, and I just know that's damn's good for nothing. God's fault, I huffed, exasperated. After what felt like hours, I suddenly could make out voices far away from me somewhere in the darkness. She's not even my daughter. Look at her, even her parents don't bother looking for her. Go watch TV or something, I have no time for this now. I told you to stay in your room as long as the guests are here. You good for nothing. She's watching this dumb show again. Why can't you just disappear LIA? Lia 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 lia. Shut up! I screamed. My head feels like it's about to burst. Is this what being schizophrenic feels like? The voices continued and turned louder and louder, so loud that my ears felt like they are bleeding. I wasn't able to move my body no more. It's so cold. And loud I can't. No more please, no more, I thought while I let myself sink down to the ground in a devastating state. I'm proud of you, Lia, your skills are remarkable, I flinched at this voice. Sensei. Sensei Takashi, where are you? I cried out, but no response. I know you can do it, Lia. Breath and concentrate meditation is as important for your body and mind as the exercising itself. Meditation? Are you telling me I should meditate? I now yelled, but of course I did not receive an answer. This is stupid. Even though I felt ridiculous for meditating in such a situation, I knew that I was kinda out of options here. As soon as I sat down and crossed my legs, the voices got noisier and noisier. Obviously trying to prevent me from what I'm doing. So that's it, you little bitches, huh? Not liking it or what? Well, good to know, I shouted one last time before I closed my eyes and concentrated myself. Breath. In and out, relax. Repeat. I sat down like that for what felt like an eternity until I was finally able to fade out all the voices almost completely. Azula, Azula, wake up, wake up. Heck yeah. This is it. This is the way. And as soon as I fell unconscious in the darkness, I woke up to sunlight. With 4 faces that looked like they aged by 10 years from stress, staring down at me. Azula! Aang, Katara, Sokka and Suki screamed. Hi guys, I smiled at them, relieved.